This is your 5 a.m. wake-up call on Election Day. Welcome to our listeners and viewers in Ghana and around the world. This is beginning of our coverage of the 2020 polls live on radio on Joy 99.7 FM, Love 99.5 in Kumasi. JoyNews free to air, also available on your multi-TV DSTV channel 142, Go TV channel 144. We are also live on Joy Prime around the world on myjoyonline.com, our YouTube channel and Facebook. My name is Mama Vio Swabwaje. I'm here with Evans Mensah. We'll be crossing over to my co-anchor Kojo Singh, who is in the studio 997. Kojo has been away for a while, but he is back with us on election morning. We'll be linking up to him pretty shortly. Lots of analysis. We will be telling you what has happened overnight. Of course, people have been queuing way before 5 a.m. We will tell you all the backstory. Those who have been traveling just so they can vote today. All of it right here on your election headquarters. We thank you for your company this morning. Stay with us. Election coverage is brought to you in association with Petrosol. Clean fuel and fuel quantity is always a delightful experience. Also supported by Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Magdan Shipping and Logistics Limited, your total logistics partner. Pardiva Limited, your home of modern furniture, and Core FS, the immune booster for your general well-being. Now, people have been in lines, in long queues since last night. Israel Lai was in Adenta, and here's what he captured.
All right, so I've been roving MFA all through this evening. I'm here at the Vineyard polling station, and it turns out, well, each election we have people who are very eager to vote. This election is no different. So we're some 9 hours away from the opening of polls, and there's already a queue that has been formed with chairs. So people have secured their spots already, so that tomorrow morning when they come in, they know where they're going to be in the queue. So as you can see, there's they add this polythene bag, and you're wondering what's in there. It's a stone, apparently. I guess to give it, and it's quite heavy, more like a brick. And it's supposed to indicate that this is where this person is going to be. And you see more stones. They are smaller stones. This one, small, it's here. That's how the person is marking that this is where they're going to be when they come in tomorrow morning, when polls open at 7. But I can understand, and I'm so sure that a lot of them will be coming in a lot earlier before then. There are actually some people who have secured their seats already, and they're telling me they're going to be here all through the night until tomorrow morning. And I'm going to be speaking with some of them. Hello, madam. So I see you forming a queue here. Is it for tomorrow's voting, or you're just coming to while away the time here?
Yes, it's tomorrow voting.
So are you going to stay here until the polls open?
Yes.
Oh, how? Won't you go and sleep?
No.
Why won't you go and sleep? You can leave this place. When you can come and secure your spot.
I think I came this evening, then tomorrow morning, early in the morning, I'm voting, then I'm go home and sleep.
Oh, so that's your plan.
Yes.
So you want to vote early,
yes,
so that you can go and sleep. How about you?
Yes, I come here to come and day here early morning, and then I vote, and then I go house.
So you are going to sleep here overnight?
Yes, because it's very important for me to vote, and then I choose my own president whom I like.
But is this something you do every time, every voting year?
Every time we do it since 1992, democracy come Ghana. It be so we do it.
But if you can also leave your spot and come back tomorrow morning, and your spot will be there. Nobody will dispute it, or?
Nobody will dispute it because I have my children and then my wife. When I did here, I did for them. They did the house, they did for me.
So are you securing the spot for yourself and your family as well?
Yes.
Oh, but it's night. You don't think that you should be in bed with your wife?
No. I don't think that.
All right. There are a few others who have also lined up. Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you also going to stay overnight?
Yes.
Why don't you just go home and come back?
No, that's my this. Every time we are voting here, that's my this thing. Sitting here until after election before I go to the house.
All right. There are a few others who are still in the queue. Just winds and goes. So who actually provided the seats? Where did you get the seat from? You rented, so you paid for the seats as well. Oh, how much did you have to pay?
This seat you are seeing here, we went and rented it.
Where?
At the Adenta vineyard here.
Oh, so you actually have to pay to rent this one to just.
Yes.
Then you're very serious.
Serious to vote. You understand? Because we are citizens of Ghana. So what we go do and benefit, it being we they do. Now you are seeing.
Okay, but another thing that is likely to happen tomorrow is that you're supposed to have your face mask before you come and vote. Are you okay? I can see you. You have your.
I'm having my own. So tomorrow I'm going to vote for who I like to vote for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
will sleep here. I will sleep here tonight.
How about you? Where is your nose mask for tomorrow? Okay. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, you get the impression that they're very eager to vote, and so they've lined up, as you heard them saying. They've actually rented the seats. They're paying 1 cedi for the seats. Just 1 cedi, just because they want to ensure that they can cast their votes in good time, so they can have the rest of the day to rest. But how do you expect the voting to turn out tomorrow? Peaceful? Do you anticipate any wahala?
We all like peace. We are all like peace. So we are going to vote according to the law.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You expect any incidents here?
Yeah, that is why this morning, Sunday like this, we go to church. First of all, we go and pray to God to vote, peaceful vote in Ghana. Because Ghana, we don't vote from 92. We don't vote and get disaster for Ghana before. So on the dot, today before they will break tomorrow, we are going to vote, peaceful vote in Ghana. And then what we need, we achieve it.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. So essentially, yeah, you're getting the understanding that these people are quite eager to vote. And so tomorrow, as you're saying, they're expecting everything to turn out peacefully. And yes, we're all expecting everything to turn out peacefully. This coming to you from the Vineyard polling station in Adenta. It's actually opposite the Adenta shopping mall.
We are fully prepared, and because the polling stations or voter population for various polling stations has been reduced, counting will be faster, announcing of results at the polling station will be faster. For that matter, collation will start early, and hopefully by 8 to 9 p.m. the winner for the parliamentary elections will be known. And the presidential, we don't have the power to declare here, but we'll send the results to headquarters to our regional collation center. So systems have been put in place to ensure that this year the results are collated early and declared early. That's why the chairperson is fully assured and confident that with the systems in place and the kind of training that's been given to the officials, there won't be any delay as we used to have. We have a total number of 123 voting centers or polling stations. And today we are expecting 59,228 voters to cast their ballots across the municipality. So the voter population is 59,228 for today. Earlier on, during the special voting, we were expecting 446 people to cast their ballots, and 405, representing 90.81% who turn up to vote on 1st December. So if we are going to replicate this, or if people will turn out as they turn out during the special voting, then a lot more people are going to cast their ballot today.
So the electoral officer in Hohoe given us a breakdown in terms of materials and how they will be dispatching those materials. Hohoe is an interesting place. We will take a look there a bit later on in our analysis, because that's where the energy minister is also standing. Let me bring in Evans Mensah, head of our political desk, into this conversation. Evans is on our smart wall this morning. He'll be doing a lot of analysis, great analysis overnight, by the way, with Winston Amwa.
Yep.
But your map should be empty this morning, obviously, because we haven't started voting yet and we haven't even started counting.
Absolutely. So this is our smart wall. Yesterday we did it from a different studio, our studio 997. Today we're doing it from the JoyNews studio. Same analysis, a bit more, I guess, oomph, because this is the day itself, right? But one of the things that we're going to be watching is this particular map that we're going to show you right now. This is the 2020 map, and it's, as you see here, it is empty, right? And so this map shows you nothing until the results start trickling in. And what you see in this map is all the constituencies mapped out for you. So let me just go to anywhere. Where do you want to go?
Let's go to Hohoe.
Let's go to Hohoe. Okay, so let's start. Hohoe will be here in the Volta region, right? So you pull up the map and tell me where Hohoe is. That's it, right there. Okay, so we're going to be looking at that closely because it's going to be interesting for us today. So we will, again, it's empty. Is it going to be won by the MPP for the first time, or something's going to be happen in terms of the continued trend for the NDC? So we'll see what that plays out today. Whole Central is going to be interesting. I mean, Adaklu, my favorite place. Why? Because I was there in 2016. The story hasn't changed much. This is the area where I felt for the first time that something was going to happen in the 2016 elections that may affect the NDC because of some voter apathy in Adaklu that will play out today. But this is empty. What is going to happen tonight is I'm going to move back to the map itself. As the results coming, this map will turn two colors. In fact, possibly when it's an independent, a third color. But we expect this largely to be filled by the two colors. Green, if it turns green, if a constituency turns green, it means that the NDC has won that place. If a constituency turns blue, it means the MPP has won it. And this is going to happen with a staff of people in the back room who will be inputting with our correspondent across the country all the figures that is coming in. So this is interesting to watch later tonight as it begins to fail. Now, one of the things also that we'll be doing tonight is the race to 50% plus one, which is also very interesting to watch. And when that begins to unfold, we will call on this. I want to show you a bit more what happened in 2016 with that map, not into detail because we're going to come into that. So if you go into 2016, and this is the 2016 map, we'll tell the story of 2016 very shortly. This is the race to 50% plus one. That is the race. This, you want to cross this black mark here, right? You want to cross it. Whoever crosses it first wins it a bit, clearly. And we're going to see this also play out this year. We're going to pull up this for 2020, and we'll be showing you the race, right?
So the mark that you talk about for the you know, just so our listeners, those who are listening to us on radio, on Joy FM and Love FM can understand, is the 50 plus the one, so beyond the 50. Beyond the 50. You will need to get to 50, but you need to have one more vote to cross this black line here, which I'm circling for those of us watching. And if again, you can join us on all our mobile social media platforms to watch this as it unfolds here. So that will be up here, and then we'll see who is racing towards it and who is getting there first. Whoever crosses it wins it, right? If you fail to cross it, if none of them fail to cross it, what happens? You expect a runoff to happen. That is one of the things we'll be watching later tonight when the results coming for this particular year. But I'm really waiting for this particular map to fill up tonight. That is where the interesting story is for tonight, for all those who are joining us across the world here on the election. Great. Evans, also tell us in terms of the difference in map, because we have more regions, obviously, because we've got 16 now, but in 2016, we had 10. Absolutely. So this is one of the things I say is the greatest unknown in this year's elections. There are few great unknowns this year. What are those? These are the unique things that has never happened in our elections before. One, obviously, is the fact that first time in our elections that we're going to have for the first time 2 candidates who've both held power recently. One, an incumbent, the other, a former president, right? First, great unknown. How does that affect the outcome of the polls? We don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Secondly, first time we have 3 female presidential candidates on the ballot. We've never had that before. Again, good for the gender advocates, and I know you're one of them. We're going to see how they affect the polls and their performance. Third, great unknown, is the first time the list of sheer presidential hopefuls on the ballot is 12. Longest we've ever had. The last time we had anything close, it was 10 people on the ballot in 1979. We've not had that before. These 3 are great unknowns. But what I say is the greatest unknown is the fact that the first time in our history, we are going to a poll, a general election, with not 10 regions, but 16 regions. 6 of them we've never seen before, but they're going to come into play. Last night, if you join us in election eve, we explained how those 6 may vote today and the impact is going to have on tonight's elections. Let me circle for you these key regions. You know them already, but if you're watching on television, just to illustrate why these areas are important. So you have Bono right there, which didn't used to be the case. It used to be one monolithic region called Bono Ahafo. Then you have Bono East, and then, of course, in there, you have Ahafo, right? These 3 are key. The reason why these are key this year, today, later today, and this we'll be watching, because when they stood as one region, it was a swing region. Each time Bono Ahafo, previous Bono Ahafo, voted for you presidential, if you want it, you want the national elections. However, this year, it's no longer one monolithic region. So how will these 3 vote? We told you that yesterday. Mama V will come back to that. For those who missed yesterday, we'll tell you how we expect them to vote this year and who may win what. That is key. Also, I'm interested in Western region, right? Now we have Western region, and now we have Western North. So here is Western North, and there is Western region. Now, key. It again used to be one monolithic region. That again was a swing region. However, this year it's being split into 2. Question is, how will the 2 vote? Will they still be swing? We think Western North is going to be an NDC stronghold. Western region is going to swing. We're going to prove that shortly with our analysis if those who didn't watch us yesterday. Again, we're going to the Northern region. There are 3 regions there that were not there in 2016. We see Savannah here. And we see Northern region, and we see Northeast. My favorite of these 3 is Northeast. I'll show you the analysis why my favorite is that. There's something very peculiar that I believe have never happened in our 4th Republican political history that has happened in Northeast. If you isolate Northeast and track it since 1996, you begin to see something very, very peculiar happening there. If you watched it last night, you know what I'm talking about. I'll come to that very shortly. Then there's Savannah, then there's Northern region. We'll talk about these. But these, of course, are important. But then there's OT, right? Which also for the first time coming into play this year. Never had been in play in an elections. It's coming into play this year. It's going to obviously affect the polls. What is the story there? This OT place is the only place where the NPP has a seat. Okay, so
is going to be important. We've tracked OT. One of the things we tracked OT for, because people will wonder why OT, because it's a stronghold of the NDC. It used to be part of the
Volta Region.
Volta Region. But if you do the trend, there is something very interesting that stands out for you, that jumps out at you. That's why we did it. Last night, we kept OT on ice. We didn't outdoor our analysis of it. We'll do that tonight.
Great.
Volta Region is also there now. It's standing by itself. Of course, there's a lot of interest there for NDC and an MPP in particular. One of the analysis we'll be doing for you today is how both parties have been performing in their strongholds against the other party. Okay, what that will tell you is which party is doing absolutely top game, A game in their stronghold, and which party is catching up. Okay. Now, we also know, as we begin to illustrate shortly, Ashanti Region, stronghold of the NDC also, that...
The NPP.
The NPP, pardon me. The NPP also is that in the Ashanti Region, the NDC must get a certain percentage, and this is true since 1996, to win the national elections. What I mean is, you cannot discount Ashanti Region if you're NDC today, okay? You need to get a certain percentage of that to win, because if you put Ashanti Region votes together that GM got in 2016, it's bigger than what he got in Upper West and Upper East combined. It is so significant for them in terms of share numbers. We'll tell you what our percentage is shortly. So here is our story today, and this is what we'll be watching as the day progresses to 5 p.m. and beyond when the results start falling.
Great. But Evans, even though we've got 16 regions, we still have 275 constituencies.
Yes.
That hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't changed. And that is the story of how we got the analysis done. Because yesterday people were asking me, okay, but why are you analyzing Bono region historically? Because Bono was not there in 1996, wasn't there in 2016. So what are you talking about when you say historical trend analysis of Bono? Well, what we did is what you just suggested. Because Bono, let me go into Bono. Let me go into Bono for a second. Goodness me, we lost the feed there. We're going to come back to it shortly.
Yeah.
When we bring it in here on our smart wall.
Let me just welcome our viewers and our listeners. If you've just joined us, of course, this is Joy 99.7 FM and Love 99.5 in Kumasi. Is election morning, our coverage of the 2020 polls. We've got over 33,000 polling stations across the country. We've got men and women on the ground. We will be telling you the story this morning. We've just been sharing a while ago. Evan Spencer, head of our political desk, has been telling us the story of 2016, what is interesting, what is peculiar about this 2020 elections with the additions of the 6 regions. But we've also been telling the story of how some people have been queuing since last night ahead of the 7 a.m. opening time when voting would begin. We will also be telling you how people have been traveling. We know that some of the political parties, at least the 2 major political parties, are assisting persons to get to their regions to vote this morning. We will be reminding you of the candidates on the ballots this year in a short while. But election coverage is brought to you in association with Petrosol Clean Fuel in 4 quantities. Always a delightful experience. Cowbell Coffee, taste it, love it. McDan Shipping and Logistics Limited, your total logistics partner. Pardiva Limited, your home of modern furniture. Core FS, the immune booster for your general well-being. We'd love for you to join us on social media. We're on Facebook, and you can join us on Instagram as well. Welcome if you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook. So let's take a look at the profiles of the candidates on the ballots this year.
I want to let Ghanaians know that as this opportunity opens itself, I am going to work hard and let Ghanaians know that PNC is a vehicle that can carry you to the Jubilee House. We are going to hit the ground running. So I call on PNC members and all sympathizers, all those who had given up hope that the vehicle is awake again and we are driving straight. We hit the ground running.
David Apacera is not new to Ghana's national politics. He was a two-term member of parliament for the people of Bolgatanga constituency between 2000 and 2008.
Ghana, we have had a taste of two major political parties, and I don't think all is well with Ghanaians. We still have the challenges, and we have a vision for Ghana, and we believe that when we come to power, we will tackle the issue of the value of the city. And I believe that if we have to be self-reliant, we have to make sure that we don't go importing finished petroleum products, because we have a refinery here. That takes a lot of money. That takes billions of dollars, bringing in finished product to burn on the streets. We will make sure that we have it done in Ghana.
Mr. Apacera is taking the mantle of leadership from Edward Mahama, who had led the party in every election since 1996, apart from 2012, and struggled to make any meaningful impact.
There was kind of division at the national level that was not the best, and PNC was a bit projected like a proxy of another party. That was not good also. And you can imagine that 3 months to election, that we are holding a National Congress and electing a flag bearer. How does that inure to the benefit of the party?
Part of our team, we are going.
Unlike his predecessor, Mr. Apacera is making an attempt at the presidency for the first time. The PNC is the only small party that has done well in holding on to a few seats, especially in northern Ghana, where the only president the party has ever produced, Dr. Hillel Liman, hails from. Born in April 1962, he is currently self-employed and married with 4 children. The PNC, the party he is leading, is campaigning to implement free education from kindergarten to the tertiary level.
To bring a change to how things are going on in this country.
He has selected Pastor Divine Aivo, a banker and a preacher, who himself contested against him for the PNC presidential slot as his running mate. The 2020 election will be a crucial one, and with the two leading parties, the NDC and the NPP, fighting for nearly every vote and constituency, poll watchers will be keen on how the PNC and its fresh-faced candidate, David Apacera, would do.
And listening to the story of the PNC candidates, David Apacera. Let's go to the CPP. Mr. Ivor Greenstreet has always been described as a firebrand, and even though his own electoral fortunes haven't matched his expectations in his political career, he believes he can make an impact in this year's polls. The 54-year-old lawyer is making a second appearance on the ballot paper in 4 years and hopes he would be second-time lucky.
This is a man who has braved many odds. He is the first physically challenged person to run for office as president in Ghana. A Ga by tribe, Mr. Greenstreet was born in Gamashi in May 1966 to Professor Dennis Greenstreet and Miranda Greenstreet, both former professors at the University of Ghana. He took his first shot at the presidency in 2016, also on the ticket of the CPP, a party he has been an active member of since its resurrection after its ban following the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, its founder, in 1966.
We want, as part of this new covenant with Ashanti and with Ghana, the Apamfufro, to tell you that in Ashanti you have vast arable land, and we believe under the CPP we will have a situation whereby, as in the past, we had all of these cocoa houses, we will eventually have our Bofo and Katia houses. Because almond tree is like...
He was the party's candidate for the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency in 2004, losing out to Frema Opare, who is now chief of staff at the presidency. Mr. Greenstreet is a firebrand. In 2015, he shocked the then incumbent NDC at their own party rally in Kumasi when he was to deliver a solidarity message on behalf of the CPP, a speech many gave him credit for as speaking truth in the face of power then.
Currently, nobody, N-O-B-O-D-Y, nobody is feeling your better Ghana. Continuous doomsor, corruption from top to bottom, left, right, inside, out, and all the challenges you are facing that is suffocating the Ghanaian people. We would have thought that perhaps you may have used an occasion like this to discuss policies, programs, and solutions to all the difficulties we are facing as a nation. But no, you chose today to share your Christmas gifts with each other. Ghanaians are not happy at all. This blowing year is dry, too dry. So, the most painful thing of all is that you don't care.
Mr. Greenstreet faces an uphill task in the election of 2020, leading a party that has struggled to get even 1% of votes in previous elections. A party with nearly no national representation at all, and almost a pale shadow of what it was when it started in 1949.
His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo tried in 2008, failed, tried in 2012, failed, and it was in 2016 that he was able to succeed, third time lucky. And I believe that Professor John Evans Atta Mills, may he rest in peace, also tried a number of occasions. So I don't think Ghanaians are ready to just accept you on the first go. They want to listen to you, they want to hear you, they want to follow you, they want to understand you, and they want to develop a degree of confidence in you. So once again, I'm going to offer myself and my party, in whose policies and programs I believe, to the people of Ghana to try and choose a new direction.
Electric shock, electric shock, electric shock, electric shock, electric shock, electric shock, electric shock.
Not much is expected from them this time, but as every election is a different one, many would be looking forward to see if something new would become of the same old CPP.
Electric shock, 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 electric shock,
And that's the story of the CPP's candidate. Now, he had said he lost the 2016 election, that posterity would be a better judge of his stewardship as president from 2013 to 2016. 2 years on, he announced a comeback in what his party calls a rescue mission. He's running largely on a track record of infrastructure projects he led during his term and hopes his popularity and the failures of the incumbent could help him undo close to a 1 million vote gap he suffered in 2016 to win. John Dramani Mahama on why he's making a turn to the presidency. Next.
We have been the first before. We have been the success story. We have blazed the trail before for others to follow. And we can do so once again.
Mr. Mahama first came into national politics in 1996. Voted as Member of Parliament for Boli Bamboy, a place his father, E.A. Mahama, 40 years before then, had been MP to. A communications person by profession, his entire time in politics has been marked by his eloquence at debates. Here he was 20 years ago against President now, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He too then a Member of Parliament.
I'm just going to chip in, what I think Nana and Co will do if
I'd like you to tell me what you would do.
If they won.
That's an important matter.
If they won. if I know shortly after that happens, they'll come out and say, gentlemen, unfortunately, we didn't know the true state of the economy is worse than we think.
That's what you're telling us, John.
No.
You say we don't know.
No, that's what they're going to say.
We don't know the true
and so
facts.
all the promises we made you, unfortunately.
Mr. Mahama became president on July 24, 2012 after the tragic death of Professor John Evans Atta Mills, who he had been vice president to from 2009 when the NDC won the 2008 election.
And that I will preserve, protect,
and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
And defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
So help me God.
So help me God.
He would now proceed to give his inaugural address.
He went on to win the 2012 elections 5 months from then.
This is our country. This is our moment. This is Ghana's time.
The first year of his presidency was held back in an 8-month legal tussle as the opposition and its leader, Mr. Akufo-Addo, who had been beaten, disputed the result of the election.
The first respondent was validly elected and the petition is therefore dismissed.
Mr. Mahama became the first president under the Fourth Republic from the northern part of the country, part of Ghana that has largely felt left behind in the country's development. Mr. Mahama ran a largely successful government built heavily on major infrastructure improvements across the country and a major investment in energy that turned around a power crisis situation endured in the early years of his rule. Reported cases of corruption under his watch largely contributed to his losing the election of 2016.
My brothers and sisters, a while ago I phoned Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and offered him my congratulations for emerging the winner of the 2016 presidential elections. I'm happy to confirm that I have submitted my letter to the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, confirming my decision to contest for the position of the flag bearer for the NDC when the party opens nominations later this year.
Mr. Mahama in 2018 beat competition from 6 contenders from the NDC to win the party's presidential ticket of 2020. Again, scoring another first to become the only former president to run for office again. Has enjoyed huge support on the campaign trail. And as the first presidential candidate of a major political party to choose a female running mate in Ghana, there are high expectations in his party that he would win the 2020 elections and be president again.
Oh, 1 million jobs, mama. Oh, baby.
And that's the story of the NDC's John Dramani Mahama. We will return and tell you the story of the rest of the candidates. But first, let's cross over and go to Odododio here in the Greater Accra region, where my colleague Ernest Kojamenu is standing by. Ernest, what's happening there? What can you report?
Hello, Mamavi. So I'm here at the Jamestown police station. which is in the Ododo constituency. This is where the deployment is being done to the various polling stations. Look, a while ago, Mamavi, it was a bit chaotic because the polling officers were trying to identify their boxes and their materials so they can move them to the various polling stations where they'll be operating. And you know that Ododo is such a huge constituency in number of polling stations, and so they really had a tough time because they also needed to find the police officers that will accompany them to the polling stations where they'll be operating from. And so here at the police station, as you can see behind me, Mamavi, there's a truck there that has just arrived a while ago. In fact, 2 trucks have moved already, conveying the materials, the ballot boxes, and the other materials that will be needed for this year's elections. And it's really a race against time because they need to move and set up before 7 p.m. when polls are supposed to start as far as the regulation for this election is concerned. And so the election officials have been very busy here. But one thing to look out for, Mamavi, is also the security. We know Ododo has been in the news, unfortunately, for the very wrong reasons. In the run-up to this election, we saw the peace walk that turned bloody with a lot of people being injured. We covered that extensively. I had an interaction with the divisional commander. He will grant us an interview later to give us a breakdown of the security setup and the deployments they have made in the constituency just to safeguard the peace of this country and also to make sure that the election runs smoothly without any disorder. And so you can be sure that for every polling station in this constituency, there will be at least a police officer policing the process and making sure that everything is fine. We'll try and see if we can speak to some of them to see if they have found their materials now, because a lot of them were really stranded a few hours ago. And this deployment, Mamavi, started even before 5 p.m. We got here by 4:30 a.m. And at the time I got here, they were here in their numbers. All of them, they had the district electoral officer, Mr. Eric Autry, address them and also update them on a number of changes that have been made as far as this year's election is concerned. We'll try and get a word from one of them. He himself is not available as we speak because of the movement. He needs to make sure that everything is in order. But Mamavi, once we move from here, we're going into the into the communities because the queues are forming already in some of the polling stations from Swalaba all the way to Palladium and to mention them, St. Mary's. The queues are forming all over in the constituency. And so it's really getting heated here. It's going to be very interesting. I'll be bringing you a breakdown of the numbers, what to expect, and the interpretation that you can put to it. Remember that this is a stronghold of the NDC. Neil Lantivandapur is the incumbent. The NDC has won this since 1992, except in 2000 when Reginald Ayibonte won it for the NPP. Now, with the surgence of Ni Lante Bannerman, he has introduced quite a new energy into the race here at Ododo. It remains to be seen, because he's contesting for the second time at Neil Lantivandapur. It remains to be seen if really he's going to close that 10,000 difference gap by which Neil Lantivandapur won in 2016. And it's really promising to be a heated contest here at Ododo Mamavi.
Yeah, but Kojo, just to remind us again, you said they're looking for their materials. As in the electoral officers are looking for the materials to dispatch to the various polling stations.
Well, Mamavi, it's hard hearing you from here, but if you're asking for clarity about the materials I'm talking about the ballot boxes, and you can see that they've been labeled. So this is for Richard Akwe Memorial School number 3. Now, the polling officers, the polling official or presiding official for this particular polling station would have to be here, and that was earlier, to identify this box, make sure that he or she has all the materials needed, the ballot papers, the indelible ink, and all of that, and then move along with a police officer to the polling station. And so that was really what the confusion was about. But as I speak, I can see that a number of them have moved already, and they are getting ready, I am sure by now, to set up in their polling stations. And then at 7, hopefully, the polls will start on time.
Well, Ernest Kojo Menu, stay with us for a while longer now. Ododo is certainly a place to watch. It's got over 50 flash points, so this is crucial. But I guess the question is, will the materials get to the ground before the 7 a.m. time? Now, let's cross over and join Kojo Menu again.
He'll return to me, we'll speak to him, and he'll give us a breakdown and paint a picture for us.
So go ahead, Kojo, engage him now. We want to hear what he has to say. You can engage him. Okay, so I don't think Kojo can quite hear me. Richard, okay, so Kojo Menu, if you can hear me, go ahead and engage the officers. We want to hear what they have to say.
Well, Mama V, the district officer has just indicated to me that he is not available right now for an interview. As you can see, he is trying to sort out some of the election office materials for his people, and that is the divisional commander I spoke to earlier. He will also grant us an interview shortly, he has promised, once they are able to sort out the deployment issues here at the Jamestown police station in the Ododo constituency. Mr. Autry is still around. You are yet to get an indication whether or not he is willing to give us an interview live here on JoyNews so that we can have a clearer picture as to what is happening in the Ododo constituency. Mr. Eric, thank you very much for your time here on JoyNews. Now, tell us, the deployments are now being done. Have we sorted everything out?
We are almost getting all the materials to the polling stations as of now. As you can see, I think we've done more than 90%. So I hope by the start of poll, the materials and the officials should be at the center. So.
And those trucks we saw, did the EC provide them in order to facilitate the movement?
Exactly. EC provided for the trucks and other vehicles. Okay. Yeah.
Help us with the figures, the number of polling stations, the number of people on the roll, if you can give us those figures.
Yeah. Ododo as a constituency, we have close to 258 polling stations. And, we are engaging, I think, over 1,500 officials. So it's a huge task, as you can see, but we are doing our best to make sure that all the materials get to the center. Our core duty is that by 7 o'clock, every material should have gotten to the polling station, and the poll would have started. That is the objective for the morning.
And the issue also about security because of this constituency and its peculiar nature. As district officer for the Electoral Commission, what is the arrangement you have had with the police in order to make sure that there is peace throughout the process?
In fact, there has been an extensive consultation with the security. I am hopeful from the briefings that I have received. The security are on the ground. They've made their operations. There's enough security, even at the polling stations. There's security for what do you call it? Where it calls for the security to be called in, the army are prepared to come and assist us. So I think there is a lot of security arrangements, and I'm sure everything is on course.
Okay. Now, briefly, the collation center is where usually you have a bit of confusion at the end of the day because that is where you do all the computation. Tell us about the arrangements there.
Yeah, at the collation center, the arrangement is that the polling officials will be allowed, especially the presiding officers who will be bringing the declaration of statement of poll. That is very important to us. At the end of the day, that is what is going to account for whatever has taken place at the polling stations. Once they get in, there are collation officers. There will be collation officers who will be in to receive the results. once the results are being received, that at the end of the day, when we are able to receive all the 258 statement of pool, then we collate them, we put everything together at the collation center for the constituency. We will declare the winner for the constituency. Then the presidential is forwarded to the the regional collation center, because there's an arrangement for all the presidential results to be sent through to the collation center at the regional office. So that is the arrangement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ochre. And Mamavi, that is the district EC officer for the Odododiodo constituency. Subsequently, when you come to us, we'll give you some more breakdown of the situation here at Odododio. We'll be in the communities. I will tell you what is happening, Mamavi.
Well, great job there, my colleague Kojo Meno reporting for us from Odododio. We've got over 6,000 flashpoints. That's what the security agencies identified ahead of today's polls, and Odododio has got 50 plus of those hotspots. So that's certainly a place to watch. Let's cross over to my co-anchor Kojo Yangson, who is in Studio 997. Kojo, it's definitely good to see you. Good to have you back. You've been away for a while.
Another election, and of course, bring us back together, right? Why Ghana decided to be a republic? Bring us back together, right? Why Ghana decided to be a republic? Bring us back together, right? Why Ghana decided to be.
Well, I'm afraid we have to bring Kojo Yangson a bit later on. We have to sort that sound out. But Kojo Yangson is joining from Studio 997. He's got some guests with him. He will be engaging them in the while. I am here in the JoyNews studio. Now let's continue with the story of the candidates. She was the first woman to run for president in Ghana in 2016 and possibly Ghana's most visible first lady of all time. Nana Akufo-Addo is going into the 2020 election a bereaved woman, having lost her husband, former President Jerry John Rawlings, on whose wings she flew for close to 2 decades as First Lady. Her first appearance on the ballot paper could not get her even 1% of votes, but she hopes this election would be different.
People. Yes, indeed we do, because we always want to play people over politics. We are not like those people who prefer to politic everything, but people are suffering, the people are hungry, people are dying because they can't get medical care, and yet they say they are transforming lives and changing lives.
Mrs. Akufo-Addo Rawlings has been part of politics in Ghana since 1979. Her husband, who would go on to be Ghana's longest ruling leader, J.J. Rawlings, seized power in a coup in June 1979. Her work and advocacy for women led her to form the 31st December Women's Movement after her husband staged another coup on December 31, 1981.
And it was more political than anything else, because the leader of the revolution was saying that we must have a situation where everybody is part of the change that is going on in Ghana. So I thought, okay, let me pick this and run with it, go through the regions to the towns and villages, and tell the women, at least now we've got a leader who says we should all be part of this new participatory democracy. So let's get up and be part of it. That would be the one time that women's voices were clearly heard.
And Ashanti Royal, the now 72-year-old former First Lady, was crucial in the formation of the National Democratic Congress in 1992 and was also key until the party lost elections in 2000. She faced years of prosecution over her involvement in alleged cases of corruption when her husband was president, which traveled through the courts for years until the NDC returned to power in 2008. She fell out with the party following many years of rancor between her husband, the party's founder and then President, Professor Mills. Her bid to challenge President Mills for the NDC's 2012 slot failed, getting barely 3% of vote cast in that Congress. She broke away to form the National Democratic Party, but was again unable to contest in that election. In 2016, she was disqualified from contesting until the court asked that she and other aspirants be accepted back into the contest.
Action! People! Action! People! Action! NDP! Power to the people! NDP! Power to the people! NDP! Our nation, our future! That's true,
She polled 0.16%. Mrs. Rawlings lost her husband and long-term political backbone, J.J. Rawlings, barely a month to the 2020 election. Madame Rawlings, a technical and vocational education advocate for years, is promising to build Ghana by investing heavily in technical and vocational education.
Because to our young women who are really at the threshold of adulthood, I'd like to encourage them to take their education and vocations seriously and not to be swayed by negativities which may destroy their future.
Let's go to Studio 997. Kojiang Singh is stationed there with our guests, Clara and Kofi Bentel. As polls have opened, you can see if you're watching on television, people are voting. We will be touching base with our correspondents on the ground shortly. But first, Kojiang Singh with our guests.
While you've been whipping around the nation, we in here, we've decided the fate of Ghana single-handedly. My guests, Kofi Bentel and Clara Berry Kasati, are here with me, and we are breaking it all down in these first few hours as polls get ready to open in literally, well, actually, polls are open. It's about 10 minutes past 7. Voting has begun across the nation in this all-important 2020 election. Now, we're going to settle in for some headlines from the newspapers in just a moment. But Kofi, one important thing I think you wanted to do before we continue.
I needed to make this correction. So earlier on, I said that Clara had suggested that the turnout this year will be higher than last year, and I said it wasn't so. It was a mistake. She didn't say that. I think I got the wrong impression. So please, Clara, forgive me for that.
Right, absolutely. Well, that's all cleared up. We're all friends again. Let's get back to the headlines. We've got newspapers. Today is a holiday for some of you who might just be waking up and getting ready to start your day. It's a holiday today. But the papers are out. We've got a few of them here, and we're going to run through the headlines really quickly. I'll start with the Ghanaian Times. And the banner headline this morning, surprise, surprise, Ghana decides today. 12 contestants vie for president, 17,027,665 expected to vote. EC sets up 33,367 polling centers nationwide. 4 pictures of presidential candidates, including the president and, of course, John Mahama, Ivor Greenstreet, and Reverend Christian Andrews of Gum. Also on the front page, don't declare results, EC tells political parties and media. We'll talk a bit about that later. President Akufo-Addo urges Ghanaians to vote is also on the front page. And on the back this morning, 3 sports stories. Oli Dwarf's game off. Hearts' winless run continues, and Kotoko declared winners without kicking ball. I'm sure some political parties would like that to be their fate today. Clara.
Yes, I'm holding the Daily Guide, Kojo, and the banner headline is that I have the pictures of the president and then former President John Mahama, and the banner headline is that Akufo-Addo tipped to win as Ghana votes. I also have IGP promises protection for all, and then EC issues orders to field staff in its criminal issues orders to field staff. It is criminal not to stamp ballot. And then NCA cautions TV, radio stations. At the back, we have Kotoko gets a Champions League walkover. And then Baumia commissions Wali Wali Stadium, and Bassa defeat, huge setback. That's all, and then the Premier League table.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Before I read mine, I think there are a few things we needed to comment on. First was the issue about not declaring votes. I think we should make that point clear.
Yes, in fact, I intend for us to spend a bit of time talking about it, but why not clarify now? Because when the EC says don't declare votes, that's a very important call. But speaking of calls, that is what the media does. We call the election. That means we predict the outcome. That is not the official results. That can only be given by the Electoral Commission. That's an important point to make.
It's a very important point. And the point must be made that the prediction, if it's done by credible media organizations, is based on the mathematics. And you have every right in law to make that prediction. Now, people should not be offended by that, even if your prediction turns out to be wrong. And I think on that also, for the sake of public information, let's put a few other things in. It is fully within your right to take pictures. People need to know this. You have a right to take pictures of the process. Just be at a safe distance and don't disrupt anybody. And these pictures include pictures of military or police or security persons and their activities. The citizen has a right to do that and even to use it if necessary to show when things have gone right or wrong. So nobody should harass anybody for taking pictures, but don't disrupt the process. Don't be too close to the point where you are, effectively harassing somebody
or photographing somebody's vote
vote, etc. So we need to be clear about that. There are things that we can do, and these things ultimately make the process more secure. So we should all just be mindful of that.
And just to add to that, having the media also follow and be able to project. The media doesn't declare, as you have already. They make the projections. It helps with transparency. And that is what helps with credibility and acceptance of results. So I think it's a good thing that we have a lot of media that will be paying attention to the process and all of that. It aids with the transparency process.
And of course, here at your election headquarters, we have a tradition, a long-standing tradition of calling the elections and doing so accurately.
So Daily Graphic has a poster front page, and it says 8th, 4th Republican polls. Ghana votes today. Akufo-Addo confident of victory. Mahama poised for comeback. And that's interesting. For me, what's important is that Ghana votes today. And I would keep saying this till it wears out. I am a very proud Ghanaian. We've come to this point. We are voting today. Everything is normal. It's like any other day. And for us as a people, we should be proud of that. And we should work hard to make sure this day ends uneventfully. It will be wonderful for us to have this vote go in peace, go and eat your fufu, go home and rest, watch Joy, and see the election results coming in. There is no need to add anything to that. And indeed, Kojo, I'm going to complain about Joy. Yesterday, it's as if Joy wanted some other news. There was a report about people throwing stones. And the report said after the stone throwing, there were minor cuts. Apparently, somewhere in the north, NDC and MPP had rallies, and they were returning from the rallies, and they met at a point. So some people were throwing stones. I mean, this kind of minor hooliganism should not be news that Joy should carry. The report said there were minor cuts that were being looked at, and it was a whole news item. I'm not saying,
but that's your dream coming true, right there, Kofi.
Exactly.
If that is what news was, and if that is the worst it'll get, throughout this election, that's wonderful.
In that sense, that's fine. But my point is, don't spend serious Joy FM time talking about a few hooligans who threw stones.
We will bring you every moment, every moment of these elections
in the world, and everybody should come and learn how we do it here. So that's the Daily Graphic
for that, Kofi. All right, I've got the business analyst. I'll run through the headlines quickly. Decision day: go out and vote. President to Ghanaians as EC cautions parties against declaring results. Investors want more of same in Ghana as fiscal challenges mount. Cote d'Ivoire lifts suspension of Hershey Cocoa sustainability schemes. People of Philadelphia will be happy about that. Informal businesses to serve voters as corporate Ghana closes down for 2020 elections. That does it from the business analyst.
Okay, I'm holding here the Herald. And then it says a secret movement of police and military weapons detected. But ex-servicemen advise deployed colleagues to act professionally at 2020 polls. I also have let's build Ghana for everyone, not for Akufo-Addo's family. John Mahama and Jane Opoku Agyeman declare. And then I also have 2 anti-corruption kingpins unhappy with Akufo-Addo government. I have in it the picture of Franklin and I think that's Steve Mantiao.
That's Franklin Kujo.
Franklin Kujo and Steve Mantiao, yes. Then MPP gives up getting majority seats in parliament to focus on presidential ballots. That's it for the front line. And, well, the back page is mainly advert.
Yes. Well, I have the palaver, the new palaver. And in front is a banner with the NDC tickets only. And they say Mahama Afa. Under there, we have Wake Up NDC, watch Jimabwedi's Kodeo and KRL closely. Somewhere in the middle, I think there's something I saw which I think is necessary, which will fit it into this whole, arrangement. It says that coronavirus vaccine, Pfizer given protection from legal action by UK government. I bring this in because as we go out, this is what I want everybody to appreciate. This is injury time for coronavirus.
Yes.
Okay, we have vaccines out, and maybe by the middle of next year, we should have them somewhere in Africa and we can all get vaccinated. Don't die in injury time. Don't catch the virus in injury time. It will be a tragedy. So as you go out today and as you go out in the next few months, please take all the precautions and survive this thing. And as you can see in the UK, they are doing everything. They've given the vaccine guys all kinds of protection so they can roll this out. It will get here soon. And then this point about Mahama Afa, I'm not going to comment too much on that. But it says, wake up, watch Jimabwedi's Kodeo and KRL closely. In other words, basically, Kodeo and Co are the election observers. They're supposed to be independent persons observing, and there are many of them. Yes, just as we want to watch the security agencies, we want to watch, the election EC officials, we should watch everybody closely, including citizens. And like I said, I am actually an advocate for citizen journalism. I always say, go out there and have your cameras on at a safe distance and record everything you can record. Let's watch everybody. And I'm very jealous about the fact that we need to protect this process and it to be protected with vigilance. I'm glad the media is out there, but citizens should also be vigilant. So watch everybody, whether election observer or whoever, polling agent, watch everybody. Document as much as you can. So that's what we have here in Palaver.
Yes, from an unobtrusive distance. Okay, so you remember, you actually drew attention to this, Kofi, this story in the Ghanaian Times. Don't declare results, EC tells political parties and the media. Another aspect of that story that I want us to talk about is the EC's own pledge to actually give us results within 24 hours of the closing of polls. And this story kind of reminds us of it. There's a quote here from Jean Mensah, the EC chair. It says, and I quote, "The Electoral Commission is the only body cloaked with the power and authority to declare the presidential and parliamentary elections. We therefore caution all stakeholders, especially the political parties and the media, to desist from declaring the results. We have indicated our intention to declare the final certified results in a timely manner, and we will do so, God being our helper." Now, here's the thing, the interesting statistic that I thought I would bring up. So, some of you may not know this, but there is no polling station in this country that has more than 749 Ghanaians registered to vote there. So that's the highest number you can find at any
What's the
polling
number
station.
again?
749. In fact, 70% of the polling stations across the country have 500 or less voters. Okay, so that is a very important number to bear in mind. This is why the EC is confident that they will be able to give us results quite early, because really that's where the counting will happen, at the polling stations. And once those numbers are known, beyond that is just verifying. So there is a real opportunity here for us to know quite early how these elections have gone. And I wonder what you both think of the EC's capacity to give us results 24 hours after closing the polls. Clara?
Well, I always have the tendency to say that if you are in charge of information, you are in charge of your resources, and you say you can do this, unless I have information to otherwise, I'm going to believe you that you can do it. So yes, of course, we don't know whether there will be recounting at other polling stations or not. And then if there's going to be recounting, how long is it going to take to collate to get the information across? But if the EC is determined to declare the results within 24 hours, let's hope that they are able to do it. If they're able to do it, it would be great. But I'm sure that for all of us, it's not really how fast, whether they're able to do it within the 24 hours or not is not, but how at least trustworthy the process is, and then the declaration is made. So if they say they should, I want to believe that they would be able to. I'm sure they would have taken into consideration whether there's, even if there is recounting, in spite of that, they would be able to do. That's fine with me.
Yeah. Kofi, will you be disappointed if we don't have it in 24 hours?
Different view entirely. So this is unnecessary, unforced pressure. The EC has just put unnecessary and unforced pressure on itself. That is one. Why would you do that? So it's always better to underpromise and overdeliver. Okay, if you didn't say that, if you told yourself, well, give us 24 hours, give us 48 hours, give us 48 hours or 72 hours, then you do it in 24 hours, I'll be happy. So that unforced pressure, I don't see why it's necessary. And now it will force them to try and meet it. Okay. The other thing that must be learned, look, the sages said, festina lente, make haste slowly. So, of course, be diligent, make haste, try and get it out quickly. But I know how the processes are. Incidentally, I and my senior Sheshe, Lawyer Kotompa, went to court, okay, that is many years ago, before 2016, to force the EC to go through a certain set of processes. And we won, which means the EC must have the signing done, the pink sheet sorted out, everybody must do that. There is no guarantee that people are going to comply, especially when at the local level they are, disgruntled. Okay, and you can't force that, but that has to happen. All right. Yes, I'm happy to hear that it's under 1,000 per polling, station. But again, we have an issue. You know, the running battle we've had with the EC about their, doing everything afresh. EC today is using new equipment. We have a history with new equipment. It's not just Ghana, the whole world. Anytime you have a deployment of new equipment, you have little things here and there. Okay. So it is reasonable to expect that there will be a few things here and there. I have said that I am prepared to give the EC the benefit of the doubt. I have said that we wish we are wrong and that everything goes nicely. But it is not smart to plan with the best case scenario. So putting this amount of pressure on yourself, okay, is unnecessary.
But should they not have a standard? I mean, if they believe it's doable, should they not set themselves that target, aim for the stars, and then,
I was coming there.
You hit the sky?
Even if it is doable, again, I said festina lente. There are certain things where it is better to give yourself a certain room. Okay, and nobody is asking for 24 hours. I'll be happy for 24 hours. But if you did 48 hours, it is reasonable. And it will be very good. In fact, world-class, reasonable, world-class good. Okay, and then we can all rest and make sure that this is well done. Now, here's the point. If the EC makes a mistake, we would take months trying to fix it. The last time we had an election problem, it took us 8 months. So the EC must appreciate that.
Supreme Court says that won't happen.
Well, I hear you, but who knew what will happen? And again, if a lawyer goes to court and tells you I'm going to finish this case in 3 months, he doesn't know what he's talking about because it is in the bosom of the judge. What I'm saying is that there was no need to put this pressure on themselves. And 48 hours would have been fine. If they had done 24, that would have been okay without promising it. If they make a mistake, I'm not saying they will, but I've told you that new equipment means a bit more mistake. It would take us far more time trying to fix that. So please, even with this promise made, I urge the EC not to feel bound to declare results in 24 hours. I think Ghanaians have waited for 4 years. We can wait a day or two. Of course, if the results are ready, verified, signed, and everything is clear in 24 hours, I will commend them publicly. It will be a world record. Not even the US was able to pull that. Okay, so all well and good, but this is an unforced pressure, and I think in future they should be minded not to do that.
Let's talk a bit more about the EC and the task it has ahead of itself today. This is an electoral commission that has come against a world of criticism, especially in this last election year. It all started when they said, look, we're going to have a new register. And there were those who thought, why not wait? Let's use what we have. And that went back and forth. The man to my left is one of those who was most vociferous in his criticism. But he wasn't alone. Many people had a thing or two to say about the EC's timetable. But say what you like. They've stuck to their time. Whether they've made the right decisions and done the right things, that will always be a matter of debate. But they've stuck to the timetable. I wonder whether that, for you, gives a certain amount of confidence that either way we're going to, we're going to go through this smoothly, or do you still, sleep with one eye open when it comes to them?
Oh, when it comes to, we just watch. What I like to do at this point, particularly, is to have hope and faith, and then to encourage the EC to do the things.
Forgive me, Clara. I'm hearing as we're speaking that there's an incident in the northeast region we need to pay attention to. So let's very quickly cross over to Mamavi in the other studio. Mamavi, what's happening in the northeast? We need to.
That's exactly what we want to find out. So let's touch base with our reporter Jalula Morris. He's in the northeast region in the Chiraponi constituency. Jalula, if you can hear me. Tell us about this developing story. Hello, Jalula? Hello, Jalula, if you can hear me, I'm asking you to tell us about this story that's just developing in the Chiraponi constituency. Good morning, Jalula, if you can hear me. Well, I'm afraid our reporter cannot quite hear me. Jalula, can you hear me now? Hello, Jalula. If you can hear me, tell us exactly where you are and what's the situation that's developing.
Yes, I can hear you, but not all that clear.
Sure, but just explain what you can report. Okay. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, I think I can hear you now.
So first of all, where are you? Which polling station exactly is this?
I'm currently in Chiraponi in the northeast region. And then at the polling station, Mock polling station near Jamija Kujo's house, where voting has commenced.
Hello? So what has happened? I understand that there are some foreign materials found in one of the ballot boxes. Is that the story?
Yes, it's true. This is not the only polling station that I've visited this morning. I've visited about 6 polling stations. And at all those polling stations, the presiding officers complained of seeing yellow ink with yellow stamp and then yellow stamp pad in the electoral materials that they were given to them, which they found to be very strange. And with regards to that, I asked the presiding officer, they told me that it was not part of their training, so they were not aware. They are used to the old black ink that usually was given to them in previous elections. So this one, they have to even come and then do education at the polling stations to educate the voters on the new ink that became a mess this morning. So I think that it was one of the challenges that we confronted in almost all the polling stations that I visited this morning.
Okay, so what it is, and for those of you who are watching television, you can see the materials that Jalula is telling us about, the yellow ink. So that's what they're using to vote.
And then I think the presiding officer is here. He can even throw more light.
Sure, let's get a bit of explanation from him. Good morning, sir, if you can hear me. This is JoyNews. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good morning. Good morning to you. Can you kindly introduce yourself?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Very good morning to you. If you can hear me.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Are you the presiding officer in this particular polling station? The mosque polling station? Hello, good morning, sir. Okay, I'm afraid we can't quite hear the presiding officer. But if you can hear me, sir, I'm asking you to explain the situation with the ink that you found in the boxes this morning. Well, I'm afraid that... Hello, sir, can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning, thank you so much.
About some minutes ago, and then The voting process is going on well.
But I understand that your ink is different. You have a yellow ink. Is that the case?
What is happening?
Okay, looks like we have to work on that line. It's difficult connecting right there to the presiding officer at this polling station, which is a mosque near Janinja. This is in the Chiraponi constituency in the Northeast region. We'll try and get a lot more on this and then share with you. But let's, Evans, I'm not sure if you understand what's playing out here.
We're checking, and in the strong room, they've been checking this since the story first emerged. And they got the presiding officer there to confirm that they've seen this, ink that they themselves had sort of questioned and raised a query on. But obviously, as you can hear in the background, this is causing a bit of a consternation at this particular polling station that needs to be resolved quite quickly. Also because in this area, we know has a history of conflict. I mean, that has been tainted with some tribalism over the years. My colleague, Gifty Ando-Apia, has spent a lot of time recovering the Tripoli conflict. Many souls have lost in the particular part of the country in the Northeast region. And so this is one of those things that has to be nipped in the bud very, very quickly before it turns out something else. We're still working the phone lines to try and get a presiding officer to talk to us. But it's going to be an interesting watch going into the results coming in, because I'll pull up a trip on it very soon to tell us why maybe this area may not be as tense. But also, if you look at the margins shortly, you probably will begin to appreciate why it's so close. It was very close in terms of the winning margin for the NDC, and this possibly may fuel some form of anxiety. This has to be addressed very quickly.
Absolutely, absolutely, Evans. Let's go to the Central Region. Richard Kojonyako is our colleague on the ground. Richard, good morning to you. What can you report this morning?
I'm currently in the Cape Coast South constituency, the frontage of the Cape Coast Castle, where we have two polling stations that are here, the Cape Coast Castle 1 and the Cape Coast Castle 2. The queue started forming early, as early as 5 a.m. The electoral officials were here to put their things in order. They were here together with the party agent who collaborated with them to ensure that everything was fixed. All the safety protocols have been put in place. So I can count up to about 50 people that are currently in this queue. It's really a long, winding queue. It goes around there, so the person washes their hands at the far end there, and then gets to where the person is expected to vote here, and then voting is done. We are expecting 50,015 voters in the Cape Coast South constituency, and it's about 112 polling stations here. And the history is pretty interesting. This was part of the entire Cape Coast constituency, was split into two. Cape Coast South, Cape Coast North, and Rick Hagen has been the MP for this area since 2012, and he's coming up again to contest the MC, the mayor of Cape Coast, Ernest Atta. So it's going to be some different. The demography here, it is a mixture of the fisher folks, and then you can also see the monumental historic building like the Cape Coast Castle. You see the court, you see the schools, Infantipim School, and all of that. They all form part of the Cape Coast South constituency. It is divided by the main Cape Coast Accra Highway. So at the University of Cape Coast end is the Cape Coast North, and then at the Cape Coast Castle area is the Cape Coast South. So that is what we are looking up to. It's been about 36 minutes of voting, and we are told by the presiding officer that about 15 people have finished casting their ballot, and it's going smoothly. The police, the security, everything is intact here. So, Mama V, that is what I can report. Let me just engage with the presiding officer here to tell me what they've been up to. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I hope you're fine.
Yes, very well.
How are things shaping up here?
As you can see, we came here very, very early, and we set the place in order. At exactly 7 o'clock, we started with the voting. We are expecting about 550 people to come and cast their votes. We have 6 absentees. So far, so good. You can see everything is moving on smoothly.
There's no cause for worry?
No, please. No. Initially, our machine was not booting well, but it is now working in good shape.
Okay, so what's your name?
John Kwame Nassam.
Okay, so Mama V, John Kwame Nassam is the presiding officer here, taking charge of the Cape Coast Castle area polling station 1, and there are so many of them that are currently in the queue. Obviously, you can see the first-time voters also queuing in order to also cast their ballot for the first time. Let me try engaging a few of them. When I'm for today, now the time never had it. Ever hang cherry. And see, what expectations then?
BBI fine.
BBI fine.
No, BBI fine.
Okay.
I mean, see, BBI.
Okay. So she says that because of God, everything is going to be fine. They are praying for peace, and then they are also praying for some smooth election to be conducted. Good morning. And where are you coming from? If you're around. Okay. So I had to Aba. Okay. Aba time never had it.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it your first time of voting?
Yeah.
It is your first time of voting. How is the experience like?
It's cool. It's normal.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is another voter, and she's obviously a first-time voter here. So the people are in the queue waiting for their turn to cast their ballot. So here in the Cape Coast South constituency, it is pretty smooth. Everything is ongoing very well. Very soon we'll be at the commander at Nairobi Prim constituency. That is where the NDC running mate, Professor Jenano Pukajman, would be casting her ballot. We will be following her closely. But if you talk about the central region, we have 23 constituencies. Out of the 23 constituencies, the MPP has 19 and the NDC has 4. But we are going to look at the dynamics. There have been a lot of talk in town and all of that. So there are so many of the seats that are very close to call. We have about 537 hotspots in the central region, and the police say they are on top of their game. They are ensuring that everything runs smoothly, and that is what we can say for now, Mamadu.
Well, thank you very much, Richard Kojonyako, and we kind of like it when you mix the chi with the fancy. That's how they do it in Cape Coast. From Cape Coast South, Richard Kojonyako, my colleague there, will be going to Wa pretty shortly to join Rafiq Salam. But let's cross over and go to my colleague, Kwete Nate, who is in the Ningo Prampam constituency. Kwete, a very good morning to you. What's the story there this morning?
Good morning, Mama V. I'm here at the Ningo Prampram constituency, and specifically at the Ahiam polling station, where a total of 95,753 registered voters are expected to cast their ballot here. In fact, the polling station where I'm standing, this is the place where the incumbent MP, Sam George, is expected to cast his ballot today. Voting has started here at the DA primary at Ahiam polling center where I'm standing. Currently, I can see long winding queues. The EC officials are checking the temperature of the voters before they are allowed to wash their hands, and then the verification process takes over. The challenge which I can see here has to do with some of the voters wearing their face masks. In the queue, you see that some of them are wearing their face masks, some of them are not wearing the face mask, and that seems to be the challenge. I have with me here the presiding officer at the Ahiam polling station. Here's Mr. Emmanuel Blebo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
One challenge I've noticed here has to do with voters, some of them not wearing face masks. Why is it so?
Yes, it's a big challenge, but those are not wearing the nose mask. They have a face shave, which help them to without a nose mask, they use their feet to instead of that. And I communicate with them about it, but some of them are saying that they are not having it for now. So that's why they use the face shade in place of the nose mask currently. So we are still continuing to educate them about it for social distances.
Talking about social distancing I can see is a challenge. Many of these voters standing here are very close to one another. I don't see them adhering to the social distancing protocol.
Yes, indeed. You see, guys, it's a challenge. I'm still continuing to educate them about it. You see that as you come, you see me going around talking to them about it. But as you live there, they do the same thing as you ask them not to do. So we are still continuing to continue to help them to maintain a social distance. You can see the number is very huge. So as time goes on, I'm sure they'll pick it up from there and everything will be okay.
Mamavi, there you have it. So social distancing is a challenge here at the Ahriam polling station. As I speak now, the voting process is going smoothly at both centers. There is an A and then there is a B. The B center started about 10 minutes ago. There was some bit of confusion because some of the voters were unhappy that they had been delayed by the electoral officials, and some told me that they had come as early as 2 a.m. In order to cast their ballot.
And that's my colleague Kwete Nate reporting from Ningo Pram constituency. From Ningo Pram, we cross over to Ablekuma West, where Kweku Asante is standing by. Kweku, a very good morning to you. What can you tell us? What's happening? Exactly where are you?
Well, Mama V, I'm currently at the Dansoman Senior High School polling station where electoral materials just arrived. And if I turn my camera in a moment, you would see that electoral materials just arrived over here because of a little lateness in arrival of the polling materials. There are still a number of people who are already in the queue. Some of them have been here since dawn. They've been telling me that they are very much excited about the process. And they are waiting for it to get to their point in time to be able to cast their vote. In this constituency, about 92,000 people are expected to cast their vote in what will be a very fierce contest between the incumbent Member of Parliament, Madam Esla Usu, and then the NDC's candidate, Reverend Kweku, who is expected to cast his vote at this specific polling station that I'm currently at. I contacted his office and they told me that he'll be casting his vote a little after 7 a.m. And so I'm here, I'm waiting for him to come around and cast his vote. But I've also been at the Exhibition Assemblies of God polling stations. I've been at the Dansoman polling stations, which have 6 and 5 polling stations respectively in all those areas. The queues are long and winding. The people there have been telling me, some of them, you could see them having brought their own chairs from their houses. Some people have gallons and other things that have been put in place to wait for them. But so far, what I've witnessed is that in all these places that I've gone to, the adherence to the COVID-19 protocols are in place. I was trying to speak to this specific polling official here, but he tells me that because polling material just arrived, he is trying to sort those issues out with the polling officials, the party agents, and the election observers and everyone here. So far, in the Ablekuma West constituency, we've not had any skirmishes so far. The polling process has been going on so far. Most polling stations that I've been to this morning started the voting on time. At 7 o'clock a.m., the voting started at the exhibition polling station. And so far, so good. Everything is ongoing here. Security-wise, everything is fine.
If there's been an explanation, you said the materials just arrived, which means that they are late. Polls open at 7 a.m., which is almost 15 minutes ago.
Right. So 15 minutes later, polling material just arrived. I've been trying to get explanations from the polling officials over here. He told me that some of these materials, they do not have control over that. They do not know why these election materials arrived so late. But when I arrived there days dawn at the police station and at the coalition center, where most of these deployments were made, it was expected that by 7 o'clock a.m., election would have started in every specific polling station in the Ablekuma West constituency, but it is not clear yet why this specific polling station had a very different story. But I'm trying to get answers from the polling official here. He's telling me that We'll find out that from his supervisors and get to know why exactly election started here so late, 45 minutes after election was supposed to start. Actually, it hasn't even started yet. The material just arrived. They are sorting it out with the party candidates, party agents, and all those who arrived. And then the first candidate will be expected to cast his or her vote.
All right, Kweku Asante, we will leave it here. A very big thank you to you. Let's go back to the Ayawaso West Gwogon constituency. But before we bring in Manuel Kranting, Evans, I just want to ask the fact that the polls haven't opened. Voting is not underway where Kweku reported from. But we know that polls will close at 5 p.m.
Well, of course. I mean, that is what we know in the place right now. But the law allows people who are in the queue before 5, though, to still go on and vote. And the EC, the question is what the EC does, because the delay is not a fault. I mean, we're waiting to get a clarity on why this happened. It's not the fault of the voter. But the law is set, right, for 5 p.m. Whoever it is that gets in there before 5 will still be allowed to vote. I don't see how this can affect the voting. In fact, in 2016, something happened where in a huge part of the country, they had difficulties where they had to send the voting into the next day because of some challenges. And so we expect that may be, it's a template for the EC to use, but people will not be disenfranchised. The law is very clear. If you're in the queue, no matter how delayed it was, you'll be allowed to vote by 5. The ECs, for some reason, can't do it. They put in special arrangement for that to happen. Absolutely.
All right, let's go to the Ayawaso West Gwogon constituency. Manuel Kranting reported earlier from the University of Ghana, Legon campus. Manuel, where are you now?
So I'm currently at the Faith Presby Church, Faith Congregation Presby Church. Time check by my watch is exactly 49 minutes after 7 a.m. and the ballot materials are yet to arrive. Well, I just raise my hand like that, and you see behind me scores of the voters who have been in a queue, some of which have been standing here for as long as 4 hours. You can see, and just as we speak, this is the van that has brought the ballot materials currently. But these people have been in the queue for well over 4 hours. Some of them have been here as early as 3 a.m., as early as 4 a.m., all in the hope to cast their ballot. I'm going to turn the camera around like that and speak to a few of them to get the particular time that they arrived here. Good morning, madam. Let me speak to you about. Good morning. Morning. Yeah, what time did you get here?
I got here about 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Yes.
And you've been standing here all through?
Yes.
So when you came here, what have you been told?
Oh, no, they said the boxes have never arrived. The boxes are on the way.
Okay. And that's what they've been telling you?
Yes.
What madam, what time did you get here? Around 6 o'clock, and you've also been told that the ballot materials are not here. There's no explanation that they give to you, correct? Well, madam, did they tell you anything? So, but why are you still in the queue? The ballot materials are not here. You're waiting for them to get here. You are here to vote. Well, I'm just going to try and get into the yard proper. Or you can see somebody came here as early as 1 a.m. But because you are the first in the queue, what time did you get here? Please a bit louder. What time did you get here? 8:30 p.m. last night. And you've been here, what? Close to 12 hours. But why would you come here at 8:30 p.m.? You want to cast your vote first and then go and do your business. And okay, so I just pan my camera around like that. So these are the ballot screens and some of the boxes that have just arrived. I'm going to get a bit closer to the polling agents who have been here. They've been quite agitated and they've been asking the EC's officials, and you can see them racing against time to now set up 52 minutes into the polls across the country. And that is the picture here. Ballot materials just arriving at the Faith Congregation Presbyterian Church polling station. You're seeing them busily. Just quickly, if you could just give me a minute as you race to do that. What party you represent? NDC. You represent NDC. The ballot materials are just getting it. Tell me the sort of communication that's been between yourself and then the EC officials as you waited. There has not been any communication at all. So as you waited, what did they tell you? officials. Okay. Okay. They kept trying to reach the officials, but they didn't get here. And so they're just taking the details of the seals, the various seals on the ballot boxes currently. Are you a polling agent? You're polling agent. Which party do you represent? You represent the NPP. How long have you been here? About an hour now. What did you see when you got here? Are you going to ask, for instance, for an extension of the polls? Because we are 53 minutes into the polls across the country, and the ballot materials are just arriving here. I'm asking if you're going to ask for an extension. So we know the polls are supposed to start at 7 and close at 5. You're going to ask for an extension. Well, I'm going to speak to the presiding officer here.
A late arrival of materials being reported in Ayawaso, West Wuogon in some polling stations. We'll come back to this, but let's cross over quickly to the Odododiodio constituency. We understand there's some situation developing. Let's speak to our colleague, Ernest Kojomenu. Hello. Good morning, Ernest Kojomenu. Tell us quickly what's happening in Odododiodio. Hello, Kojomenu, if you can hear me.
Yes, Mama B, I can hear you now.
Bring us up to speed with this developing story there.
Hello, Mama B.
Kojo, just go ahead and tell us what's happening in Odododiodio. Where exactly are you? What's happening there?
Well, Mama B, I can't hear you, but let me just go straight and bring you up to speed on what's happening right now. So there's a total breakdown of order here at the city engineers polling station, which is going to serve as a collation center at the end of the day when the polls have closed at 5 p.m. What happened is that just around 6 when we got here before polls started, we had two major queues. So there was one made up of elderly people, elderly citizens, just so that they can take care of them. And I'm told that the convention here is that they take care of 5 people from the queues where we have the elderly and then the other queue. Now, one of them told me that he was here as early as 1 a.m. But then, once they started voting, they brought in people who were not in the queue. And the EC officials tell me it's because we have 6 centers here, they needed to sort out the people so that they don't keep them in the queue. Mama B, I'm going to go ahead to speak to some of them to try and find out what the problem is right here. A lot of them are disappointed in the Electoral Commission for the way they have managed the queue. Good morning. Okay. Okay, so essentially what she's saying is that the police is unable to control the situation here. So hitherto, they were all behind the gate. So that's the main compound of the city engineers. They were all behind the gate. And it was the expectation that once the polls start, the security officers together with the Electoral Commission officials would usher them in one after the other in batches of 5. Now, that didn't happen. The EC officials, because we have 6 centers, wanted to bring them in according to their code. And for them, that is worrying because some of them have been here since 1 a.m. And for them, the convention is that they take a batch of 5, they bring them in. If you are supposed to vote at the center A, you are directed there. And so they are blaming the EC officials for the confusion. The main compound. And it is unclear who is voting. So what is going to happen at the end of the day is that a lot of them are going to move into the various centers here. I remember I told you that we have 6 centers. A lot of them are going to move there, only to be disappointed that this is not where they're supposed to cast their ballots. And then they'll have to go into another queue. And that will create confusion. Again, because we have a lot of elderly people in this community, that is going to be a great source of worry. Many of them cannot vote quickly and leave and go about other duties. And so that is the real challenge here. This gate is going down because there was so much pressure on it, Mamavi, just a while ago. The EC officials, the security, the police, I must say, had a tough time putting this gate in order because the people had to break their way into the main compound of the city engineers. And a lot of them are scattered all over the place. They do not know how to manage the situation where they are to vote. And as you can see, because of the situation...
Manage the situation where they are to vote. And as you can see, because of the situation, many are not adhering to the COVID-19 protocols. Yes, once it's time for you to vote, you can expect that the EC officials will take you through the process of hand washing. But then many have taken off their face masks, social distancing is gone, and there is absolute chaos here. We'll try and locate some of the EC officials so we can get a word from them and find out really how they intend to manage this going forward. It's been pretty tough, and we'll try and get them to speak to us. Hello, madam. Are you able to just speak to us briefly? How are you managing the situation right now because of the confusion here?
There's a senior police.
Okay, so she's directed us to someone else. But let me speak to this woman because I noticed that she was here when I got here at 6.
8 o'clock, I stand here.
You came here at 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock yesterday.
How old are you, madam?
I'm 47 years.
Okay, so you were in the other queue. Now tell us what happened. I saw that you were...
See the thing is going on. See the thing is going on. It's wrong. Wrong dirty. She's failed. The Mensa. Yeah. Please, it's okay.
Okay, well, yeah.
What said I judge or I vote here, I vote here. Come on, 1B, come on, where you fall. C1, come on, where you fall.
Man number your
yes, Nano. Nano. C1.
Okay, well, I can't be a nurse and no vote.
Yes, I might do more. In Dumobia, no, come on. In Dumobia, man, you're near there, in Dumola.
It has not gotten to that. A lot of them saying that they are willing to shed blood, but I don't believe that we have gotten to that.
Kojo, if you can hear me, I really wish that you could. Can you tell us about the security situation? Can you tell us if there are security personnel present there?
Yesterday at 8 p.m. to secure her place, and indeed when I got here at 6, she was one of the few in the front row, and so it is quite disappointing for a lot of them who now have to join queues again and in order to make their way to the verification officers and then eventually cast their ballot. 6 centers here, 4 polling stations, Mama V.
Yeah.
And so that is the situation really here. It's pretty chaotic, and people just do not know what to do.
Well, obviously, because of the chaos, it's impossible to hear me. We've seen, I think, 2 police officers at least, but I wanted to know if they're overwhelmed by the situation and how they intend dealing with it. But Kojo Menu, there on the ground in Odododio, this is the City Engineers Polling Center, which also serves as a collation center. There are 6 polling stations. And the situation, the disorder really is about chaos. That's to be expected, especially when Evans, people went there as early as 8 a.m. the previous day just to wait to vote today. But there are 50 flashpoints in Odododio. So every situation, just like what we're witnessing right now, with the queues is also something to look out for, and we've got to be careful with it.
And I'm looking at the pictures now from Odododio as it beams in live here on our screens, and you see the sheer number of people cramped up in a small space. There are Veronica buckets there, but nobody's using them. People are just in queue. This is just cramped up into a space, and with the COVID-19 protocols, this clearly is an issue. I mean, we saw, and Ernest was describing this earlier, when he showed us the gate into this particular place, it looks like there was a stampede of a sort that forced the gate open. And that, for me, clearly tells you that something in terms of the arrangement may have gone wrong, and which is what he's been describing. The police, I see police officers, I see a few of them, not armed though, in this particular space. I see a few of the officers, one particular officer now walking towards the gate as a car now driving into this particular enclave. We don't know who is, of course, but it's a police vehicle. It's a police vehicle. I think they've sent in, this appears to be some reinforcement. This is unfolding on the screens there. It appears to be a senior police officer. Now we have armed police. We have armed police now present at the scene. It's obvious that they've been called in because of the chaos and the way people rushed in. So you see this unfolding on the screens at JoyNews. We're going to be watching this clearly. In fact, going into today, Odododio was one of the areas that we thought, let's watch it closely. Absolutely. Because it's one of those areas that sort of exploded recently. And people, got injured in the process of that. You've mentioned 50 flashpoints, key to watch. But I guess what we are seeing is a timely response to the police, right? They had men there, but remember, when you're voting, the lesson from Odododio, from Ayawaso West Wagon, was that police or those who guard the poll, security agencies who get to the polling station, should not be armed. But you should have very close by armed police officers on patrol you can call who can rapidly respond to a situation. It appears that we're seeing that play out for the first time here. We've been reporting this for the last 10 minutes or so. They have responded within that time. We've seen the vehicle pulling with armed police officers. That is what is supposed to happen. But the thing about Odododio that fascinates me, it's not a place that shows any keen context, right? I mean, this is the trend for Odododio. I mean, if you watch it, it's an NDC stronghold. Apart from Reginald Nibi Ayibonte in 2000, when there was a tsunami, by the way, that the MPP swept on the back of it to win across the country, and the MPP won there, right? It's always been an NDC stronghold. And I always ask myself, what is it? I mean, my first election reporting task, almost 2 decades ago, was in Odododio. That was the first one. I was dumped in there to cover it. It was such a difficult thing to do because of the chaos that I saw and I witnessed. I had to hide to report at some point. I speak Ga, so that helped me a bit. I mean, Ernest speaks Ga, it will definitely help him too. But the point I'm making is, I look at the trend as you see it on the screen, and there's nothing there that says it should be as hot as it always is.
With 50 flashpoints, with definitely a hotspot.
With 50 flashpoints. Always erupting every now and then. But here's the thing that many watchers have used to explain the dynamics there. It has huge settler communities because of the huge markets that you have in there. So you have Katamanso, and then you go to the market, you have the Konkumba market, for example. People coming in from all over the country, traveling from the north particularly in there. I mean, people sell there. They register to vote there, although they don't live there. That influences the outcome of the polls. That many have said maybe it's a contributory factor to why this area is so tense all the time. Although it's a safe area, it is almost like what you see in the NDC's only stronghold in the Ashanti region of Asawase, with all the settler communities and people moving in from other parts of the country into Asawase, and also becoming pretty tense. If you look at Asawase flashpoint numbers, also quite significant. People look at that to explain why Odododio is that tense. Again, the pictures have come. It appears that the armed police officers with a senior officer who showed up there have, in fact, brought the situation under control. And I hope we could get back to Ernest to explain to us how the police officers who just arrived, the reinforcement, how they managed to bring this under control. There appears to be some order now. There appear to be some order now.
Yes, and Evans, we can't go back to Ernest. Ernest Kojamenu, if you can hear me, we see that there's reinforcement. What is being done differently? Hello, Ernest Kojo, if you can hear me.
Yes, Mama V, come again, please.
So I'm asking what is happening, what is being done differently from when you reported earlier with the arrival of the reinforcements.
What is happening is that the district commander, he came in a while ago with about 7 of his men, and what is out
behind the gate, like
now,
actually behind the gate. And because of the confusion, because of the disappointment with how the EC officials, they claim, were managing the situation, they rushed in, destroying the gate even in the process. So the police, led by the district officer, the district commander, is trying to maintain some order by reducing the numbers within the compound here at the City Engineers Polling Station. And so a lot of the people are being asked to move out, so that once the numbers are reduced, it will be clear who is going to which table for verification and then subsequently for voting. The EC officials can then direct them appropriately, and the work will be much easier. I can see also that they are considering the older ones, the elderly ones, because, like they have mentioned here, there's the convention that they allow a lot of the elderly people to form a different queue so that they can quickly move out of this place. And so that is what the security officials now are doing with the police now, with the help of some immigration officers, as you can see or short. That is what is happening right now at City Engineers Polling Station.
Well, thank God there's some kind of order now. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. It's your election headquarters. We'll bring you the breaking stories, as we've just shared the story of Odododio in this in City Engineers Polling Station, which has 6 polling stations. Let's quickly go to the Wa constituency. My colleague Rafiq Salam is on standby. Rafiq, where exactly are you and what's the story there?
I am currently located just at the back of the Wa Circuit Court. In this particular center, we have 3 polling stations there. And so it used to be several people. We could have counted over 1,000 people there, but now it has been split into 3. So the first one, we have Circuit Court 1A, that has about 417 people. Circuit Court 1B polling station, 416, and then also Circuit Court 2, they are having 622. And so voting here is going on peaceful, except that when we started at the Circuit Court 1B polling station, there were a lot of hitches, and then some of the biometric machines were not booting, and so for close to about 15 minutes, they were only able to.
Rafiq Salam reporting there from Wa. Rafiq, thank you very much for that update. Let's go to the Shaman constituency. My colleague Matilda Gavi is on standby. Matilda, where in Shaman are you and what can you report?
So, Mama V, I'm coming to you live from the St. Peter's Methodist Primary School. And this place is a cluster. It has other centers just within the same center. So they have about 7 more. Earlier, I visited the Shaman Government School, which also had so many centers there. And so far, the process has been very peaceful and been very orderly. People are really observing the COVID-19 protocols. Before you get a ballot, you are asked to go wash your hands, and then they make sure that you are wearing your nose mask. You join the queues. But for issues about social distancing, it's not really something they are really checking out for. But Mama V, if you would allow me, let's just take you through the history of this Shaman, the history of Shaman politics. We know that at the moment it is being shared by the NDC's over the years, it's been the NDC's hot seat. and this constituency usually leans towards the NDC. It is only in 2000 that the MPP somehow managed to win their parliamentary seat here. So over the years, we can confidently say that this seat comfortably belongs to the NDC, but we don't know how it will go this year. So we'll still be observing. And in 2016, the incumbent, Ernest Nogbe, won by almost 17,000 votes. So this year, I spoke with him earlier, and he tells me that he's hoping to widen this gap. And so we'll be observing to bring you all the reports that you need to know as far as this constituency is concerned. When you talk about security arrangement, I would say generally it's been peaceful so far, and people are really adhering to it. Usually the long queues that we observe at some of these polling centers are not there today, because in a particular polling station, there could be divisions about 4, about 2, about 3. So the long queues that we usually get to see are no longer there today. So this morning, it's been a peaceful process so far, Mama V.
And that's my colleague, Matilda Gavi, telling us about what's happening in the Shaman constituency. Her reports after visiting some of the polling centers, but also helping us appreciate the history of Shaman politics, as she puts it. Matilda Gavi, stay in Shaman and bring us more a bit later. This is your election headquarters. We are live on Joy 99.7 FM and also live on Love 99.5. Of course, we're on Joy Prime here on Joy News. You may be watching on myjoyonline.com or Facebook or maybe YouTube. We thank you for your company here on your election headquarters. Evans, I'm not sure there's a lot to say about Shaman, is there?
No, there isn't a lot to say about Shaman. I mean, but let's just, for those who are interested, pull up the Greater Accra map and let's zero in on Shaman. Shaman, by the way, was one of those constituencies that was divided in 2004, and then Adenta emerged out of that, right? And so that's the history of it. As we see, if you pull up the trends for Shaman, you see that this is a very, very safe seat for the NDC over time. But something I've noticed that we need to mention, you see the queues. Shaman appears to be the only example, almost an outlier from all the places that we've been in terms of the long queues this very early morning. People have been queuing from 8 p.m. last night with stones to vote. As all the polls have predicted, with the expectation is that this year we're going to have a high voter turnout. In fact, if you go back to the recently held special voting, the EC says we are at what? 87% turnout in that particular elections. In fact, the CDD poll, the pre-election poll, for example, says the people who spoke to the respondents said 9 in 10 said they were going to turn out and vote. The Irish poll with our daughter just last week also talks about a high voter turnout. And we're beginning to see that in terms of the numbers now. But here's the thing. Are these numbers going to continue throughout the day? Because COVID, as we see, people really don't care about COVID, right? And there is, as we've explained over time, appears to be a direct correlation between the turnout and what tends to happen in the final analysis in elections. So what we know indicates that any time in an elections, presidential elections, the turnout is anything between 70 and below, there tend to be a change in government. And any time the turnout is 80% and above, they retain governments, right? We've seen that in 2000 when the turnout was 62%, we saw a change in government. We see that again in 2008, turnout was 70, same. You see that again in 2016, 60%, there was a change. And so that clearly is a story that we are watching in terms of the turnout and whether these huge numbers in the queue might play out in huge turnout.
All right, let's go to Kumasi, to Swame, to be specific. Erastus Asari Donko is our man on the ground. Erastus, good morning. Great job yesterday telling us about the materials and how they were about being dispatched to the various polling stations. But what's the story this morning?
Well, Mama V, when you come to Kumasi, we've been monitoring events on the streets before we got here to Swame. We've been to a number of polling stations. In fact, the streets of Kumasi are empty, virtually empty, and where you can find a crowd is at the various polling stations, and they've been queuing since 5 a.m. And when you see the crowd here, it's been like this for since 5 a.m., where people have queued across the length and breadth of Kumasi. All the polling stations we visited, the various stations are filled with people who have been standing in here trying to cast their ballots. And so they were in here waiting for the Electoral Commission to start voting procedures so they can go through with ease. Now, this polling station, there are two polling stations here. This is the Methodist Church Swami. We have the Methodist Church 1 and we have the Methodist Church 2. Now, what they've done is that because of the sheer numbers, they've divided each polling station into two, A and B. And that's how come you see 4 lanes in here with people queuing in that direction to go and cast their ballots. They say that they are trying to ensure that this will increase how the process is going, and they'll be able to get people to vote on time. But there are people who are complaining that indeed the process has been very slow as compared to the special voting, where people did not waste time. They did not spend more than 4 minutes through the process. So here it's been quite tedious because of the sheer numbers. So voting has been going on. It started at exactly 7, except some few areas that has recorded delay in the voting process because the Electoral Commission officers were displaying their items. Some of them had some challenges getting their items displayed on time. So voting has started in earnest in Kumasi, and here at Swami it's been very smooth.
And that's Erastus Asari Donko there reporting from Kumasi. He's now in Swami. Erastus will be bringing us a lot more. We're going to cross over to Studio 997. Obviously, during the special voting, we had a little over 100,000 persons who were expected to vote. Today is really the test where we'll find out the kind of pressure that will be put on the biometric verification devices. Kojo Yangsing, I wonder if your guest can pick up on this. Yangsing, I wonder if
spend a bit of the devices and equipment and technology that we're relying on in election 2020. I mean, we are, after all, your election headquarters. But Mamavi, just before we get into that and other key conversation points, let me remind you that this is brought to you by the kindness of our partners. And Cal Bank, for example, would like you to forget to cash. Using the CalBank app gets even more exciting. Share the fun this holiday season as you split bills among your buddies, scan your QR codes, generate or redeem tokens, and so much more using the CalBank app as we all work together to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Now, the app will allow you to instantly send money. You can shop for goods and services from the e-shops. You can also use it to change your card limit, block and unblock your debit card, and so much more. What's more, you don't need a CalBank account in order to use the CalBank app. All you need is to link your Visa or MasterCard to the app, and you're good to go. So forget to cash. Download the CalBank app today from the Play Store and the App Store and stay on top of your money anytime and anywhere with a quick and easy and secure CalBank app. All right, call the toll-free number. It's 0800 500 500. Or chat with them online on their social media platforms and on WhatsApp. You can also contact them via email at customercare@calbank.net. CalBank, forward together. This is indeed your election headquarters, and we've got a lot of ground to cover. My guests, Kofi Bentil and Clara Berry Cassati. We've been doing all the analysis, breaking it all down as we run up to the first, at the end of the first 2 hours of voting across the nation. It's about 8:20 right now, and we're expecting even more people to start queuing up across the country. Now, the thing is, when they queue up, they are coming to try out what is essentially brand new technology. You know, the EC has spent a fortune verification machines, just to make sure that a person who is eligible to vote can be determined to be so much easier. Now, the investment was huge. But every new thing, you can expect some teething problems. How confident are you, Clara, as somebody who has observed several elections, that we won't end up tripping over this new technology, that it will actually make things easier than it's been in the past?
Well, I just hope that we do not trip over, because we don't want to repeat the arguments that were made prior to the purchase of the equipment. But I would hope that after that process, the EC would have done everything that was required to have tried out the equipment and make sure that it works. I think they owe Ghanaians that much. So I want to believe that they would have done what they need to do, so that we don't have a lot of issues in trying out the new equipment, and then everything goes out smoothly. Or that if they have any teething issues, they have what it takes to be on standby to make sure that everything is fixed, so that voting can go on conveniently and smoothly for Ghanaians.
Kofi, you thought a lot of this was not necessary, but here we are. We have it. We spent the money. So, what are your expectations? You think we're actually going to end up with an easier process?
So, see, part of what we do, or what our work is at Imani, is to sound the alarm, to shine a light on what the potential problems could be, and hopefully, when the institutions or authorities involved pick up on that, then they do what they need to do to prove us wrong. In the case of EC, that's what has happened. Now, let this be clear. Anytime across the world we have the data and we put it out, anytime across the world, anywhere, that new equipment has been deployed, there's a certain amount of disruption that goes on just as a result of the equipment. We had that in Ghana. And across the world, the data will show that over time.
Everybody to come out and exercise their vote. I think it is the biggest constitutional responsibility that we have. And as you can see, I came here, went through all the COVID protocols, and it has gone very smoothly. I've cast my vote, and everybody should be patient and carry out this most important constitutional duty. We want to vote very peacefully. This is the most peaceful country in West Africa. At the end of this election, we want to maintain that reputation as the most peaceful country in West Africa. We don't want to exercise this franchise in peace, and there should be no issues of disruptions or whatnot. So we want to wish the Electoral Commission well. We want to wish all Ghanaians well, and we should make our nation proud. And let's come out and vote, regardless of your party. Come out and vote, and we will proceed with our democratic processes after that. So I want to thank all of you, members of the press, for being here. I want to thank everybody, the Electoral Commission in particular. This is a continue working hard to make sure everybody has the opportunity of voting on time. So I want to thank you very much, and I'll take any questions.
NTV is a local language.
Local language.
Eagle 2 is also live. Yes.
Mpusiapam.
Okay.
Nakuchenna. Kirga polling station one besela into voting. Mbolan yel so kamza. Neapang yamana manga yamansi. Yina into voting. Voting man yala shiele dunya sunga Ghana waza. Yin bela party kanwa be bela party kanwa de bakare yaza ku yimna kate voti lala bunwa kate za nyere amfani tumambo la te voti nai kasuhudo na ko be Ghana wa Ghana ngana sokam za mi Ghana ka kanyala suhudo tungbangu
dunia za ba mitila lala ne tinyala suhudo tangbango de zugo te bobor basa basa te bola so kamza kena mvoti kallab yinni ka gadama kane ka suhudo biane ka taza bego ba kunya lala ka tamar nangban yini tim votin na ai de zanin nan sunga bankale kan wandidi wambadi mpusia pam ka pi ai nanga barkan.
Okay, so my question, quick one. Just last year or this month or so, you launched the the QR code, and other economic inclusive projects that you. Why should we maintain this government?
Well, I think that the case for why you want to maintain this government has been made, and I think that it is very, very simple, and the people of Ghana would know that we are the government that has maintained macroeconomic stability against what we came to meet. We are the government that has pursued a lot of far-reaching interventions to reduce poverty. We are the government that has created jobs, more jobs than any other government in the first term of the Fourth Republic. We are the government that has created more infrastructure, whether it's roads, it's water, it's schools. We have done more than any other government in the first term of the Fourth Republic. There's no comparison. And so we have introduced one constituency, one ambulance, planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory, one village, one dam.
First of the high-profile Ghanaian politicians to have cast his ballot already. It's not even 8:30 yet. Vice President has certainly exercised his mandate early in Wale. Here in the studio 997, of course, we continue to bring you live coverage from your election headquarters. Now, remember that hashtag ElectionHQ. We certainly want you to make as much use of it as possible so that we will see what you're saying on social media and share your thoughts with the world. And make sure you're catching our live coverage on Facebook Live, on Instagram, everywhere where a live broadcast is possible. We're there and we're broadcasting to you live. So whatever you need to do today, it's a holiday, you don't have to go to work, but wherever you've got to go, take us with you as we broadcast to you live. And don't forget that hashtag JoySMS. I want to see it at the beginning of your tweet, even before you tell us what you're thinking. Use the hashtag ElectionHQ. Okay, thank you very much for that, and keep listening. This is your election headquarters. My name is Kojo Yangson, and my guests this morning, Kofi Bentil of Imani and Clara Berry Kasati, who is a law lecturer and, of course, a private legal practitioner. Now, we've just seen the vice president vote. The Baumia effect is something that we heard a lot about in the run-up to the 2016 election. This time around, Dr. Baumia is a vice president. He's part of the ruling government. What's the Baumia effect as we go into the 2020 election, Kofi?
Look, I think Baumia is one of the superstars in the MPP. I mean, if generally MPP has lost a bit of shine, relatively, Dr. Baumia has not lost that much shine. If you look at even the infrastructure debates, and by the way, this is not campaigning. I mean, today people have made up their minds. Let's just...
Yes, it's too late to...
We are getting people
complaining
about
mind,
whatever.
Yeah.
So let me go on. If you look at even the infrastructure debate, not much has been done in terms of physical, hard infrastructure, bridges and roads. But there's been a lot done about the technology infrastructure, okay, which is key anyway. And those have been led by Dr. Baumia. Okay, I personally think that they will take the North because of the Baumia effect, and for people like Hassan Tampoli, who have been quiet but extremely effective, okay, and they are all in the Baumia orbit. Then across the nation also, he has not gotten that many negatives. So I think he's one of the superstars in MPP, and he really is going to also deliver for them this time round. I think they are lucky to have him.
There are some who actually argue that Dr. Baumia and Mrs. Baumia, Samira Baumia, pretty much won the election for the NPP the last time around. And they point to several things to make that argument. This year, how much of NPP's performance will be down to their, as Kofi describes him, superstar vice president?
I think the role that they played, yes, they played a very effective role, which contributed hugely to them winning the election. The dynamics change a bit after you've been in government. Because when you are in opposition and you are not the one managing the resources, there's so much you can say. But after you've now come into government, I mean, you've done certain things. You just can't talk any longer because you've been given an opportunity. Now you have to talk more about your performance and all of that. So the dynamics change a bit. That notwithstanding, in this election, particularly because they've been in government, it won't be up to them alone. Because it's not, like I said, you are campaigning from a different position now. It will take the entire... It has to be group work. It has to be teamwork. It will take everybody campaigning very hard to be able to get the results that you want. Yes, they've been campaigning hard, but I'm sure everybody else too, a lot of other people. So in short, it wouldn't, after they've been in government, it will not be up to them alone again, for want of a better word. It takes everybody.
Just a quick one on this one. You see, there is the Northern Caucus, and that's far larger than the northern regions. And I believe that the Northern Caucus across the country, the Zongos and everything, they are a bulwark in the interest of MPP. And those people are held together by people like Vice President Baomia Hassan Tampuli and the former information minister. Okay. My own brother.
Yes.
Hamid.
Mustafa Hamid.
Yeah. Okay. They fought very hard to hold that bulwark together. I dare say that if MPP loses the Northern Caucus, they'll lose the election. To that extent, therefore, that is how important, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Baomia, Hassan, Hamid, and the rest who have held together the Northern Caucus. And I'm saying, compared to the fortunes of MPP, they haven't lost much ground in the 4 years, okay, as other, maybe political figures have.
The NDC has been relentless on them.
They have been relentless, and they really fought for that caucus, for that, voting bloc. But again, that shows you the resilience or the effectiveness of the Baomia, group. That despite, and NDC is strong in that area. But Vice President Baomia, Samira, Hassan, Hamid, and a few others who we can't mention immediately, have held firm. If you go there, they are pretty, split. Okay, you can't say today that the northern regions or the Northern Caucus, the Zongos across the, country are going for MPP. In the past, it was almost a done deal, okay, because they really kind of, went for the NDC in at certain times. But this time round, that is the difference that Vice President Baomia brings. And I think he's been very, very effective in that regard.
Am I the only one who feels as if we haven't seen as much of the second lady in this year's campaign as we saw in 2016?
No, she's been campaigning. I think if I followed a bit, she's been campaigning. I think she's been campaigning just as hard.
Just fewer sound bites?
She has.
Probably because of, yes, I think the nature of her campaign may have changed. So rather than being in the, should I say, the middle class target group, I think she's been campaigning more in the communities. So she goes on the ground, she's been campaigning more in the communities. But I think she's just been as hardworking as she was at the last election.
COVID generally changed the face of the campaign. So clearly you won't see people that much. But that's it. Look, Samira is a superpower. She's a bomb they can use. But COVID made it impossible to use her in that open fashion. But you're right. I believe she's been working underground, but generally.
Right. Well, let's talk a bit about these flashpoints. And there are a number of them that were identified across the country before the election. But already this morning, we've started to see the little pockets of drama popping up in a few of these places. It was a complete false alarm in Tripoli, by the way. We discovered that they were talking about ink, and completely explainable, not foreign materials as we had feared. And of course, we've heard about what happened in Shaman earlier this morning, a bit of confusion, if you want to call it that. Ododo Dio has seen its own share as well. This morning, there was an attempt to join about 4 polling stations together to make one, something that the EC wanted to do for convenience. There was some resistance to that. People were not very happy about having to queue a bit longer to get their votes in, but even that seems to be under control. Flashpoints as we go forward. I'm hoping this is the worst of it. But there was a huge number of them identified. How did that change the, if you like, the color of the 2020 election compared to what we went through in 2016?
Oh, I think it's too early to be able to tell whether there's a change or not. But these things are expected. I think generally all the time, sometimes some of the polling stations open a bit late. Some may have hitches here and there. They might need to be rearrangement here and there and all of that. So I think it's still too early in the day to be able to say whether this is too different or not from 2016. But I'm sure as the polling opens, probably by midday, some of these issues would have been resolved, and we'll see a general trend across as to how the voting is taking place.
I'm actually thinking about how we came up into the election, whether it gave us a bit more pause, knowing that there are more flashpoints identified. And of course, a lot of this came from, if you like, feedback from the registration exercise. So did it make you anticipate, even though I'm hoping we're all going to be, saying amen to your prayer, amen, at the end of the day, but did it make you feel like we were heading into a more delicate election this year?
Honestly, no. Yes, there were many identified, but I think we have to commend our security services for working hard at it. You really can tell only after the fact. But yes, there were many identified, but let's define the flashpoints well. They are areas which are volatile due to collateral situations, like there may be a chieftaincy dispute.
Right.
Okay, or historical situations. In the past, they've been fighting, that kind of thing. And I think there's some work that has gone on. If you take Ododidi, for instance, a lot of work intervention trying to get things settled down. That does not mean there will not be problems. But given that work, I, for instance, am quite reassured that we won't have that many problems. But they are called flashpoints because a single spark can blow it all up. So the vigilance must be maintained, and we should not take unnecessary risks. So if you take Odododio, being a flashpoint, being very volatile, I don't think the EC should have tried to combine the 4. Don't take unnecessary risks with a flashpoint. But all that said and done, again, I would like to really urge that the media be careful. Because the thing about flashpoints is that if you don't take care, you can highlight too much. Okay? Look, you can be staying in, one suburb of Dansoman, and one polling station may have a fight. It is entirely regular and normal. But if you don't take care, it will look as if the whole Dansoman is at war. So we should also be careful how we report these things. But to your question, we come into this election looking at the last few weeks to the election, very calm. The last week to the election is when you get a lot of problems. Last week was so normal. I was very impressed. And I think driving here early this morning, I thought I would see a lot of whizzing. The last election, I did the same thing. I mean, early morning, driving around, you could see a lot more activity. After the election, you could see all kinds of things going on. It's calmer this time around. I just hope that we'll continue to have this calm to the end. Like I said, I prayed for a very boring election.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. It's election morning, and this is your election headquarters. We're coming to you live from Studio 997. We're live on the JoyNews channel. We're also on Joy 99.7 FM. If you're watching or listening to us, you've already made your only important and correct decision of this election. Keep watching. We'll tell you everything as it happens everywhere in the country. In a moment, we're going to spend a bit of time on one of the constituencies that has become, a microcosm of this election. And it's also become the center of attention because of the 2 campaigns that have gone on there. I'm talking, of course, about Ayawaso West Wuogon. Let's not even bring in the history that by-election, that unfortunate by-election also adds to the fray. But we'll be talking a bit more about Ayawaso West Wuogon in a moment. First, though, let me remind you that if you haven't yet heard that Airtel Tigo is giving you the opportunity to make free Airtel Tigo calls every single day from 5 a.m. till 10 a.m. for 6 months, then my goodness, you really need to be updated, because now, well, you know. And I wonder what you're waiting for. Just get yourself a new Airtel Tigo SIM, make a transaction with Airtel Tigo Money, and get yourself free Airtel Tigo calls every morning for 6 months. If you're already on Airtel Tigo Money, then just dial *110# and select option 2 and subscribe for the morning offer with as little as 2 Ghana cedis, and share all of your kokonsa every morning for free. Don't waste any time at all. Buy an Airtel Tigo SIM today and get talking. Airtel Tigo Money, life is simple. So in the mornings, usually on the Super Morning Show, we would bring you the inspirational song by the kindness of Duraplast. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. And EDC, with EDC, financial independence is possible. You can now start, run, and grow your business thanks to First National Bank. Now, with the First National Bank Gold Business Account, you get a range of payment solutions on their award-winning platform to bank on the go and even pay Forex abroad. Now, it takes a bank that does more to help start, run, and grow your business. So just go to firstnationalbank.com.gh and opt for one of their consultants to call you back. Or you could just pop into any of their branches in the Accra Mall, Junction Mall, Makola, West Hills, and Achimota Malls, as well as Tema Community 11, Jan Towers, Lodestar Heights in Tema Community 1, Market Circle in Takrady, Snit Complex in Edum Kumasi, or their head office, which is at the Accra Financial Center building. It's more than just business to you, and that is why they help. First National Bank Ghana is a subsidiary of the First Rand Group of South Africa. First National Bank, how can we help you? So this is, of course, the Joy News channel and Joy 99.7 FM. The Arrive Alive campaign is brought to you every day by Joy News and Multimedia Group, supported by Toyota Ghana Company Limited, Toyota Superior Quality, and Logistics Movers. We help you relocate. Now, of course, it's all under the auspices of the National Road Safety Authority, so avoid all distractions, keep both eyes on the road and hands on the steering wheel. That is how to ensure you drive safe. Now, Toyota Ghana Company Limited has introduced the brand new Toyota Starlet. You really need to try this car out. It's offered on a special early bird price, and you get a 1 year or 20,000 kilometer free service offer, plus a manufacturer's warranty of 5 years or 150,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. You can buy on credit as well through special arrangements with their finance partners. So go to any branch in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Tamale, Takwa, or Takrady, or just call 0302-910-204 for these great deals. Toyota Ghana Company is proud to be associated with Joy FM and Joy News' Drive Safe Tips on the Super Morning Show. Toyota, superior quality. So if you're thinking of the safest, hassle-free and most secure way of relocating or transporting your goods, then the Logistics Movers are here to offer you a professional and cost-effective way of doing this. They have what it takes to put a smile on your face. That's their hallmark. So call them on 050-127-7363, or just go to info@logisticsmovers.com. That's their email address, or the website, which is logisticsmovers.com. Logistics Movers, we help you relocate. So Say It Right is sponsored every morning by Kingdom Books and Stationery. Kingdom, your number one stop for all office essentials and stationery. And Kingdom, of course, helps you to say it right, even though that never comes by chance. You need to read the right books early in life. Go and pick up some readers and books and learning materials from Kingdom Books. For example, phonics flashcards, Aesop's Fables, Oliver Twist, The Fish That Talked, Emperor and the Nightingale, Growing Up for Girls, Illustrated Classics, Junior Illustrated Grammar, and so many more. Call 050-140-1050, or just go visit Kingdom Books and Stationery for a great discount. The news review, which we did today with our guests Kofi Bentil and Clara Berry Cassity, was brought to us by the kindness of CompuGhana. Shop at any CompuGhana branch across the nation and get up to 40% discount and free delivery. CompuGhana, passion for technology. The online review, of course, brought to us by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and Goyle, good energy. All right. Well, I've forgotten that was part of my job.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
We get information from very credible sources, and
Yes.
I think I just have to put it out. So there's a polling station near the Foreign Affairs Ministry. This is just around Airport City. And I hear the voting machines have still not been delivered. It's in Accra. I think it should be quick.
All right, this is something we have to look into immediately.
Quickly deal with.
Thank you.
And
Which polling station are you?
The one near the
about?
Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Right.
Nothing has been delivered. They are just waiting over there.
Okay, so we will verify this information and let you know what the situation is at the polling station nearest the Foreign Affairs Ministry. This is your election headquarters. Stay with us for the latest on that. Okay, let's keep going with our conversation. Ayawaso, West Wuogon. This is, there's a center of drama now. And of course, it all started with that ill-fated by-election when we lost Chairman Ting Ajakun, who was the Member of Parliament for the area. His wife then took over as the candidate. That process that brought her in as the MP for that area, unfortunately, is memorable for all the wrong reasons. But here we are today. We have John Dumelo coming up against Lydia Al-Hassan. And boy, what a contest it has turned out to be. It's no longer an obvious safe seat for any party, is it?
It isn't. And I'm happy to see, I am always happy to see politicians campaigning very hard, because I believe that no matter what work you do, you must give it your best and you must put your best into it. So anytime I see someone working very hard at what they do, I like it. So I have enjoyed, I am proud and have enjoyed how hard both candidates are fighting for the seat and all of that. And irrespective of who wins that seat, I think that both candidates would be proud of themselves and rest assured knowing that they've given it their all. I also hope that this time around, that particular constituency would want to make it up to Ghanaians in quotes, which is that they would hold exemplary elections to at least cancel out all the negative reasons that were associated with it at the by-election. So it's one of the constituency that I would be looking out for after the polls are over to see who wins the seat. It's been exciting, and I like the life that they put into the campaign, the drive. I really have enjoyed all of that for that constituency.
Kofi, with your prophet hat on, do you reckon you know who's going to
I know who's going to win that one too.
Oh, really? This one you must.
But I totally agree with Clara. Look, as far as I'm concerned, Ayawaso has been the model constituency as far as campaigning and everything has come on. And again, from their history in the recent election where we had a lot of trouble, you'd expect that maybe things could have been difficult. Ayawaso is unique because it has all classes of people. From the highest, the universities are there, my office is there, all the way down to the people who are working. So, and it's quite densely populated.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, voting. And it's a big place, okay? It's a very big place. And, Mama Lydia has campaigned hard, and she's been forced to campaign harder because of how much John Dumelo has put in. And look, whoever wins or whoever loses, they should be proud of themselves. John Dumelo should be absolutely proud. He fought an exemplary campaign, and he was such a gentleman through it all. In the process, they even found ways to have joint walks.
Yes.
They walked together, and this was highly, intensely fought. So I really commend John. I commend Mama Lydia for getting up and doing the work and doing her best. Whoever wins, I think Ayawaso is the better for it. And like Clara said, politicians must work and earn their votes. So Ayawaso for me is a model. I hope to see a boring election at Ayawaso. No police or soldier shooting, no nothing. Go and vote, go home. And when they finish, please, Mama Lydia and John have a fufu party. Honestly, these symbolisms mean a lot, okay? And like I'm saying, I think Lydia Al-Hassan has a future. She was plugged in because of the MP we lost. But she has built some following for herself. And I think that if she wins, she should emphasize her own right to be there. If she does not win, she should hold on to it and make sure MPP does not replace her. And I think she can do that by building this credibility. They should have a fufu party or whatever they eat after this and show that, that is a model that everybody must follow. So I'm looking very hard at Ayawaso, and whoever wins, I'll be happy.
Indeed, indeed. And I'm just minded of the fact that there are people watching us across the world who will not in the least bit be surprised to hear us suggest, in all seriousness, that once an election is over, we should celebrate with carbohydrates. That's just our way. All right, so listen, I want to say a big thank you to the two of you. We've had a sparkling conversation this morning, and we've really set things up perfectly for election headquarters to continue into the day. Clara Berry Cassati, Kofi Bentil, we are eternally grateful, and we know you're back. You're back with us later as our coverage continues. Right now, though, we're going to hand over beautifully to Mamabi Owusu Abuaje right after these all-important messages. Stay with us.
We'll bring the messages to you in a bit, but let's continue telling you about the candidates. We've talked about quite a number of them. Now, he became president after 3 attempts and finally won with one of the largest vote margins under this republic. President Akufo-Addo is campaigning for 4 more years to continue what his government says has been a largely successful 4-year mandate. With former President John Mahama, a man he lost to in 2012 and beat in 2016 as his closest contender. Mr. Akufo-Addo highly confident he would repeat his emphatic win of 2016 in 2020.
A government may not be able to make every citizen rich, but with political will and responsible leadership, a government can help create a society of opportunities and empowerment for every citizen.
William Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, born in Accra on March 29, 1944, came into a family of politicians. 3 of the Big 6, the founding fathers of Ghana, were his relatives. He made his first attempt at the presidency in 1999, facing off with John Agyekum Kufuor. For the NPP's 2000 presidential ticket, he lost, but went on to be an influential member of the government Kufuor formed after beating the NDC in December 2000. His life's story is one of a fighter. He fought for the respect of human rights under various governments and particularly led mass actions to help return the country to democratic rule. The most famous of them was the Kumi Preku demonstration of 1995 against the introduction of VAT.
Our policies that do not find favor with the general mass of our people, and that the mass of the people of this country have been systematically impoverished during the period of Rawlings's rule. It is not a point of view that has found very much favor in the parts of the world from where you come from, who have been pouring out an endless stream of how so many things wonderful were going on in Ghana.
On January 7, 2017, Mr. Akufo-Addo saw his age-old dream of being president come to life.
I, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo,
having been elected to the high office of President of the Republic of Ghana,
having been elected to the high office of the President of the Republic of Ghana,
do in the name
Before Mr. Akufo-Addo got here, his presidential journey was full of upsets, like he losing the 2008 election to the late Professor Mills, an election he was highly tipped to win, leading the first legal challenge of an election result when he was defeated again in the election of 2012.
Whilst I disagree with the court's decision, I accept it. I accept that what the court says brings finality to the election dispute.
And infamously falling off the stage in the heat of the campaign of 2012. All these made his win in 2016 even sweeter. Mr. Akufo-Addo is going into the 2020 election with many policies that have largely benefited many, including the free SHS program that has put over 1 million students through senior high school for free. He rode heavily on an anti-corruption campaign to oust the NDC in 2016 and sold himself off as incorruptible.
I am determined to fight corruption aggressively, and I can do so because I'm not corrupt, have never been corrupt, and
He is, however, also beset with many cases of corruption in his government, which many believe he has failed to act on. He faces John Dramani Mahama, a man he beat by nearly 1 million votes only 4 years ago.
The campaign attention. Campaign attention. The campaign has landed in confusion, misrepresentations, and outright fabrication. That is the campaign of John Dramani Mahama today in Ghana. But them love it.
This battle could either be a confirmation of his dominance or a sweet revenge for his long-time foe.
And that's the story of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Of course, he won in a single round with a comfortable 53.9% of the votes in 2016. He won 6 regions, the 2 safe regions of Ashanti and Eastern, and all of the swing regions of Norhafo, then Central, Greater Accra, and Western region. We wait to see what happens in the polls today. We're crossing over to the prisons. We're going to the Nsawam medium prisons. They voted for the first time in 2016, and I'm happy to say that they are voting again in this year, 2020. My colleague who's been telling many of their stories, Seth Kwame Boateng, is on standby to tell us how things are unfolding this morning in Nsawam, the medium security prison. Seth, over to you. What can you share with us? Well, Seth will join us. Seth, if you can hear me, can you hear me? If you can, okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I can't hear you also now. So Seth, take it away.
So we have been given this exclusive. So we have this opportunity. We have this opportunity to enter the prisons, and I'm privileged to be here in the medium security prisons. As I speak, the prison capacity now is 2,993, 2933, and we have about 2,400 inmates queuing up to vote, meaning 2,400 out of the total lockup number are having the opportunity to vote. And voting has already started. You can see the inmates behind me. Some have been voting, some have already voted. And I'm privileged to have with me here the Regional Prisons Commander, DPP Ampofo, and welcome to JoyNews.
Yes, my name is Mr. Santiago, Deputy Director of Prisons, the Regional Commander and OIC Medium Security Prison and so on.
Yeah. And you have a total capacity of
2,933 in safe custody.
You have 2,400 of them?
Yes, casting their vote this morning.
What arrangements have gone into this? What's the plan today?
Oh, the plan is that we will ensure that the 2,400 all cast their vote this morning. The security arrangement has been done. We have a team from headquarters who have come to support the medium security prison operation team. and they are all have been well positioned. And so security situation is very peaceful and calm.
And I know that every hour or every shift, when every shift ends, you call them in and you count them.
Yes.
Today, what is the plan? Where has the voting
yes.
started from?
The voting started right in the present. We have 3 areas which have been allocated for the purpose. So we have 3 polling stations this morning. And what we normally do, counting of units intermittently, today is a special day, so it will not come on. We will do only the morning one and the evening. So it will be twice today.
And I know they are voting by blocks. So let's start from the people who are voting now.
We started from the special block, which used to be called the condemned block. Then from there, we come to the annex block. From the annex block, we will progress to block 1, which is the remind block, then block 2, 3, 4, and 5. What we do is that we have emerged the special block, that is the condemned, with the image at the infirmary, the clinic. They are also casting their votes, so we have emerged them. And they have, at this time, they have finished with the voting.
So, Mama V, very soon I'm going to get the presiding officer here. Is the presiding officer around to join me so that we can have a word with the presiding officer about how things are going here? So welcome and join me here. My name is Seth Kamebwat. What's your name?
I'm Jay Michael.
Okay. Tell me how things are going now. How many people have voted so far?
So far, about more than 50 people have voted. More than 50 people have voted, and the reception here was very good. The officer who received us helped us, and whatever help we needed, he just gave it to us. So everything is going on well.
And how are they abiding by the COVID-19 protocol? How are you getting them to comply?
Oh, as you can see, we have our Veronica bucket. Our sanitizer is there. We have our tissue and then the liquid soap. So anyone who comes in, first of all, washes their hands, sanitizes their hands before they come to the table. And you can see that all my crew members are also having their gloves and all the PPEs on. So everybody is abiding by the rules as is expected to.
Thank you. Commander, you earlier mentioned that we're going to get some of the inmates to speak to those who have already voted. I might be very soon. We are,
like I said, you have 3 polling areas.
Yes.
So this is the number 1. I will take you to the number 2 and 3, where you have any of them to be.
Mamavi, there is law and order here. You can see for yourself. You can see that they are all seated quietly, waiting for their turn to vote. The social distancing is working. They have their nose mask on. They are abiding by all the protocols. And as I mentioned, 2,400 inmates are voting today, and they are happy about it because I've been here earlier. In the past, this wasn't the case. They didn't have the opportunity to vote. But since the last election, they have been voting, and it's something that is very dear to their heart. If you remember, a few weeks ago, I was here, and they even put together a peace song telling Ghanaians about the need to respect the rules of the game and ensure that nobody...
2,000 inmates are voting.
Mama V, I didn't hear you.
No, Sir Kwame Boateng, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, Mama V, I didn't hear you.
Go ahead. Go ahead with the tour.
Yeah, so we are moving to another polling station where, again, you can see the inmate behind the fence. They have lined up quietly, waiting that they are called in to cast their ballot. And I'm privileged to be taken inside by the regional police commander, regional prisons commander, to help me identify all the places. The polling agents are also seated quietly. You can see there's another polling center here, and they are lined up quietly, and they are all respecting the COVID protocols. I'm very soon going to get some of the inmates to talk to those who have already had the opportunity to cast their vote, so that we hear from them how they feel about how things are going on here. You can see there are others who are park is quite far, but you can see from where I am now, they have on the park or the football field. And I'm going to get an opportunity to speak to the leader to find out how things are. He is the inmate leader, and he's my friend of times here. So this is no new. So thanks for your time and welcome to join me.
Thank you.
And how is it going?
It's going very well, going smoothly.
This is not the first time we cast our vote. This is about the third time, and so we are very conversant with the process. So everything so far has gone well.
There with exclusive access to the Nsawam medium security prisons. This is the second time that they will be voting. They voted first in 2016. There are 2,933 prisoners, and out of that, 2,400 of them are registered voters eligible to take part in today's exercise. Seth Kwame Boateng is reporting of there being order. But I tell you what, when you're in prison, there couldn't be anything else but order. So Seth Kwame Boateng getting exclusive access to the Nsawam medium security prisons. We'll bring you a lot more in the course of our coverage today. It's election day and you're watching and listening to our live coverage of the 2020 general elections. It's on radio on Joy 99.7 FM, on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. We're of course here on JoyNews. We're free to air. We're on DSTV channel 421, on GoTV channel 144, also on your multi-TV. And you may have been watching us on YouTube, on myjoyonline.com worldwide, and of course, Facebook. We thank you so much for your company. The election coverage is brought to you in association with Petrosol. Clean fuel in full quantity is always a delightful experience. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Magdan Shipping and Logistics Limited, your total logistics partner. Padiva Limited, your home of modern furniture. And Koa FS, the immune booster for your general well-being. In a short while, we're going to be knocking off, and I'm talking about myself and Evans Mensah, who's been on the smart wall for us this morning. Evans, you're back later this evening?
Yes, I'm back, and I'm waiting for that because I come in with Wingsting again at 5 p.m. That's when polls close. We call it the polls closing. And we're going to be with our audiences all the way until the first results coming, analyzing it, of course, using a smart wall.
All right, you don't want to miss that. But you certainly don't even want to move away. This is where you have to be for all your credible information on this year's coverage. Benis Abubeidu Lansa is taking over from me, Mama Viuso Abuaji. But of course, in our Joy 997 studio, Koje Yang Singh is still very much stationed. So stay with us. This is your election headquarters.